Common Spirit Health Studios. This is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Salt Lake City police have closed a Redwood Road surrounding 1500 South after what appears to be a person hit by a car. We talked with Lieutenant Dan Davis with the Salt Lake City Police Department.
We do have an auto pedestrian accident that's under investigation right now. We've got Redwood Road southbound shut off at California, and we're actually going to shut off northbound at 17th South while we're conducting this investigation. People traveling through the area or into the area avoid that stretch of Redwood Road if they possibly can.
We have a reporter on the scene getting more information. We'll have an update from the KSL Traffic Center on the impact of the road closures in just a couple of minutes. Utah farming officials are now offering a $10,000 reward after learning someone caused tens of thousands of dollars of damage to an Iron County farm. Someone slashed a bunch of tires on heavy machinery and spray painted the phrase "meat is murder" on the side of one of those machines. But Rannon Reber, who runs the farm, tells KSL they don't even have livestock. In fact, one of the machines that was damaged makes food for livestock.
It's interesting. A piece of equipment that actually would make feed for the animals, you think would be not a target for meat is murder.
Police believe an animal activist group may have been involved. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 397 points to 46,528. Coming up, we're looking at a record high temperature today for the month of March. See if we get there. KSL Weather's next. Plus, we still have emergency traffic on I-15. We'll check that coming up. KSL News Time, 9:02.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
A family office is a team built to handle the 3 biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
You may not think about Great Salt Lake, but it's affecting your life every day. It brings lake effect snow and epic powder days. It supports thousands of jobs that keep Utah thriving. It provides a haven for millions of birds. And it keeps our air cleaner and our summers cooler. It also could affect your home's value, your kids' asthma, your morning run, your powder days, your future. Without a healthy lake, we face toxic dust storms full of mercury and arsenic, along with higher health costs, fewer jobs, and lower home values. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's personal. The lake affects you. Now, it's your turn to affect the lake, because our lives depend on our lake. Act now at growgsl.org.
Emergency traffic brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. And where's the trouble spot, Cormac?
Well, Andy, this is in Weber County, southbound I-15. We have a crash blocking a right lane and shoulder at the I-84 interchange, causing some really stop-and-go traffic all the way back to just about 21st Street. And then you're in the clear through most of Davis County until you get into Bountiful, where we do still have also residual delays from a crash that was blocking multiple right lanes and now seems to be blocking just the one right lane and shoulder at Beck Street. Those delays are still heavy and slow, reaching back into Woods Cross near 5th South. Northbound I-15 delays are still working their way out. It's still slow from the point of the mountain to Bangor Highway, and again from Midvale near the South Interchange all the way up to 13th South. At UTA, it's never just a ride from point A to point B. They move independence. They move purpose. They move memories. They move what matters. You plan your trip at rideuta.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast today is going to be hot. Highs potentially reaching 84 degrees. We could break the record heat for the third time in 3 days. Expect plenty of sunshine. Right now it is already 61 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
And this is an interesting story that I've been wanting to really talk about this morning, but the Salt Lake City Council has now adopted a new water ordinance that could affect a large warehouse that is apparently going to become an ICE detention facility here in Salt Lake City. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff explains.
The new ordinance will limit non-residential water usage to 200,000 gallons a day. Mayor Mendenhall estimates an ICE detention facility in the warehouse would use as much as 2 million gallons a day. Mayor Mendenhall tells the Salt Lake Tribune before being bought by DHS, that warehouse was using about 5,600 gallons a day.
So what they're saying is hold the water and the ice.
Right, yes.
Come on.
That's good. That's good. So we're talking about the detention facility, or at least the warehouse that has been purchased in the northwest quadrant of Salt Lake City. 833,000 square foot facility on 29 acres, I believe. Department of Homeland Security paid something like $140-some million for it. It was
which was interestingly $50 million above the value.
Yeah, which I would love to get an explanation for. Apparently, to build a facility, an immigration detention and processing facility, no one's particularly happy about it. And Salt Lake City Council said, look, we're going to make sure that at least it stands to reason this year being a incredibly bad year for water. Salt Lake City is going to have a bad year for water. Salt Lake City Council has to do something about it, and what they're saying is we're going to limit water use. It could absolutely affect what happens with that particular facility.
Yeah, I agree. And, there's so many questions still surrounding that, right? That facility. That warehouse is not built to hold people. It doesn't have the infrastructure. It doesn't have the water. It doesn't have the sewer available for that. And some of the information that we've seen across the country says that as ICE has been purchasing, or DHS has been purchasing these warehouses, they want to have them up and running by November, which tells me they want to have them up and running just before the election this year.
If we're thinking this could potentially be up and running by November, you would expect there would be crews out there now. There'd be people retrofitting.
You've got to do something, right?
And I don't know that we've seen anything like that.
No, not yet. And I think there's multiple places across the country where people are saying you've got to provide a bunch of detail about what you're hoping to do here, right? And so one of the things that we know is that it's widely believed that it will hold up to 7,500 people. Again, not created to be some kind of a detention facility, and 7,500 is more than we have in our prison system in the state across all of
the entire state.
Everything.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So again, it's interesting. The governor was asked about it last week during his press conference, and he said he does believe that we need an ICE detention facility within the state. However, he also said we need to make sure that this is a transparent process, that there was frustration, that nobody was talked to, not the governor, not the legislature, not our federal delegation. Nobody in Utah was talked to about this potential facility before it was purchased.
You know, I've been around when jails throughout the state have been built, when prisons have been built, including what was then the new Gunnison prison, obviously the new Salt Lake Airport prison. When we build holding facilities for individuals, it's a fairly big process. And there are rules in place, not the least of which are directed by the cruel and unusual punishment clause of the of the Constitution. And so we say, look, if you're going to hold somebody, they have to have certain conditions, they have to have medical treatment, they have to have food, water, some space. And so to just buy a warehouse, a big box, and say, we're going to retrofit this for 7,500 individuals, it really defies logic. And maybe there's something they've got figured out, but it's hard for me to imagine putting 7,500 or 5,500 or 2,500 people in a building like that and having them have anything close to what we would consider to be fair living conditions.
Again, it's part of an ongoing conversation about what's the appropriate action to take in immigration enforcement. So what it started out as is, let's get the worst of the worst off the streets. Well, if they're picked up for murder or rape or drug trafficking, they already do go to jail or prison. So why do you need something that will hold 7,500 people when we already have a process to get the worst of the worst off the streets?
And 7,500, that would be like the Intermountain West holding facility. I mean, Salt Lake City, state of Utah, wouldn't accommodate something like that. I mean, there's no way we could fill something like that. And of course, if you build it, they'll fill it. But that means that
bite your tongue.
Right? Yeah, that means we're going to have Colorado inmates.
Yeah, and so probably not Colorado, but maybe Wyoming, et cetera. So you've told me, right? There's no place here to hold people for federal detention, and so they have to leave the state
or contract with county jails.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, So there's no federal prison in Utah. No, You're right. Maybe I misstated it. But if we're just holding people pending trial, in other words, they've got a trial coming up. They're not serving time. They're just waiting. Then they would contract with local county jails sometimes. Although the last couple of inmates I've had to visit were in Pahrump, Nevada, which was the closest federal prison. So yeah, you're right. We don't have a federal holding facility in Utah.
So I just want to tell you a little bit about Alligator Alcatraz. So it was built in Florida. You remember this?
Yep.
And it cost about $1 million a day in spending while it was open. It was closed pretty quickly, I would say, because of a court case. And Florida now is trying to get reimbursement for the incredible amount of money that they ended up spending on that facility. So the facility was designed to hold up to 5,000 people. It held about 4,000. It was supposed to be a, quote, temporary secure holding facility. And you know that they were like making a point of, well, what are you going to do? Run into the swamp with the alligators?
Right.
Anyway, I wonder if we would just face that same issue here, right? Is that there's actually a process that you need to go through for these type of facilities. Not to mention the due process that people who are here on immigration issues, right, who are being picked up on immigration issues. And I continue to see U.S. citizens who are being snatched up by ICE, which is still deeply, deeply concerning. But this due process, there is a process to follow for these facilities.
And you would expect Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County are going to hold the feds' feet to the fire with respect to zoning. I mean, if you're going to house 7,500 people, you can't just build something and say, okay, we're going to put 7,500 people there. It doesn't work that way, because even the infrastructure there, the building there, was used to servicing something like 5,600 gallons of water a day, and now they need
1 million.
2 million gallons a day.
That's really big increase, right?
Where are they going to get that?
Right.
And so Salt Lake City saying, okay, non-residential water usage is going to be 200,000 gallons a day. That's what, a tenth of what they think this facility will use, and
4 times what it was using.
Right. Yeah, and many times exactly.
So anyway, that happened last night at the Salt Lake City Council meeting, and they also had some additional things that they talked about, which I thought were super interesting.
His name must come down.
We'll talk about changing the name of Cesar Chavez Avenue when we come back.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. You can feel the spring in the air. As a matter of fact, we've been feeling the spring in the air all winter long. But as the season genuinely changes, it's time to make your reservation at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Hotel Park City and downtown Salt Lake City. And don't forget, quite a few great events are just around the corner, including some holidays. We'll have a lot of visitors in Salt Lake City before long, and it's time to make your reservation at the downtown location, 275 South West Temple. And of course, up in the mountains, it is beautiful. There's still some skiing going on. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is right there at Hotel Park City. The best meal you have ever had awaits you at Ruth's Chris, whether it's steaks, whether it's poultry, whether it's seafood, the side dishes, the desserts. You're going to love Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, downtown Salt Lake City and Hotel Park City.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Ever wonder why I say Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate? Well, we are the world's most northern manufacturer of spas, and we are built for the cold climates. We are just more heavy duty. It is commercial grade, but built for your house. We use fiberglass instead of ABS plastic. We use thicker, stronger, better insulating covers. We use our heat lock insulation to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and protect the equipment. Arctic Spas are designed to last longer and be less expensive for you over the long term. Arctic Spas are known for their water care automation with our automatic saltwater system and our automatic pH control. We have it, no one else does. This makes it easier and more enjoyable for you to own an Arctic Spa. Find the perfect Arctic Spa for you at arcticspasutah.com or visit any of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. That's why we say Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad. And I feel very proud to be his son.
That was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
The show may be over, but the deals are still on at Paris RV.
How about an Easy Tow with a 25 Rockwood 190 OTG for only $7,995 or $129 a month? How about some bunks? Hook up to the 26 Heartland Prowler 2500 bunkhouse for only $17,995 or $205 a month. Want to stay put for a while? Then put the 26 Forest River Cherokee Timberwolf 20 OG destination trailer in the spot of your dreams for only $44,995 or $456 a month. Only
at Paris RV.
Paris RV is your locally owned, family-run RV dealership. We strive hard to find the very best RVs for the price. With 4 locations, over 1,000 RVs in stock, 42 service bays, and 4 super parts stores, we're sure to help take your family on the best RV vacation. Check out our perfect family bunkhouse trailer, the 26BH, that sleeps 9 for $19,995 or $227 a month. Zero down. Life is short. Enjoy it. North Murray, South Murray, Payson, and Pocatello. ParisRV.com.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, we heard those words at the last segment. His name must come down. The Salt Lake City Council is now seeking public input in the replacement for the name of Cesar Chavez Boulevard, which is 5th South, following recent allegations of sexual abuse against Chavez. KSL News Radio's Cam Elliott has more.
Salt Lake City is one of many cities in Utah looking at alternate titles for roads named after labor activist Cesar Chavez. Dolores Huerta, co-founder of the United Farm Workers Union, revealed earlier this month accusations of sexual misconduct by Chavez, alleging that he had raped Huerta and taken advantage of other underage girls. Salt Lake City Council member Alejandro Poy suggested renaming the street after Huerta herself, as her work was equally instrumental in laborers' rights. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
Something I shouldn't talk over. This is something we talked about last week.
I know, and you know what? We did it breaking because we saw it come across and did it right here on our show.
But we were thinking then we about the fallout.
Yeah.
So, Cesar Chavez has been accused not only by Dolores Huerta, the co-founder of the United Farm Workers, but by other younger females of having taken advantage of them. And in fact, I think she had a child or two with him. I couldn't recall.
Yeah, she said there were 2 sexual assaults and they both resulted in a pregnancy and children.
And she was, I think when she made the allegation, she was in her 80s. He's, of course, passed away and really a labor icon. But you can't, if those allegations are true, and they seem to have been corroborated, even if it's just by several people saying the same thing, that Salt Lake City should do something, because you can't have a street that honors him if, in fact, he was a sex offender. And I think it's 5th South, right, just down the street here. There's a couple blocks of that are now, have been for several years now, called Cesar Chavez Boulevard.
So what's interesting is that was the street that one Utah legislator wanted to rename. He wanted to rename Harvey Milk Boulevard. Never mind.
Right.
So, yeah, what's interesting about the Dolores is she actually is, she's just like a week and a half away from being 96, actually. She's in her she's in her mid 90s. And one of the things that really strikes me about the response to this is these accusations. One of the reasons Dolores came forward, she said, is as she realized there were more victims than just herself, she wanted to speak out. One of the things that's interesting to me, Greg, is the speed with which people are saying that is not okay, that they're believing the victims. And then I want to look at the Epstein files and say, where's the fallout from that?
Yeah, right.
Right? We're not seeing it.
We're seeing fallout from other countries, and some private companies, but we're not seeing the fallout from our public officials. And so this one hits pretty hard for the labor community because he was such an activist. Of course, you can, like you said, maybe we could call it Dolores Huerta.
I love it. I love that idea.
She
actually
was every bit as important as Cesar Chavez, and in co-founding United Farm Workers. But this is a national thing, and there are probably Cesar Chavez boulevards or buildings or libraries or grade schools all over the country that all those jurisdictions are going to have to take a really hard look about whether or not they want to maintain that name.
So last night's city council meeting, Salt Lake City Council meeting, they had a lot of interesting things, but this is one more. This is Council Member Alejandro Poy speaking about the change in his suggestion.
Highlighting her work as a leader in the community, as a Latina, and to me is important for visibility, to make sure that we are not throwing the baby with the water as well. There was incredible accomplishments by our community. Big fights for our rights, and I want to make sure that we don't ignore that because of this horrible news by Cesar Chavez. I feel like his name has to come down. His name has to come back down from the streets. It must come down. Certainly, we want to make sure that we do it with correctly, cost-wise, for respect to our taxpayers, but his name must come down.
And that sounds like he was getting some support within the council, even as he was mentioning that.
So I wanted to also talk about another item that the Salt Lake City Council discussed last night, and that is closing roads around Temple Square during the Salt Lake Temple open house that will begin in about a year and will go for 6 months. So if you remember, we talked with Sarah Weaver a week and a half ago, maybe, about some of the things that we can anticipate, and they were just getting ready to make a proposal to the Salt Lake City Council that the roads be closed. And I think, if I remember correctly, there's like a rental. They're going to rent the roads, but they did agree to close those roads for several months.
I've always thought Salt Lake should close some roads and make more pedestrian walkways. I mean, most cities of our size and even smaller have these great areas where people can walk and congregate, and there are restaurants and bars and theaters and things like that. And we just don't have that in Salt Lake City. And I've often thought that would be the perfect area to do that. Of course, then you've got your east-west, your north-south traffic that's got to be diverted onto West Temple or Third West or South Temple or whatever. Right. It seemed like we would. But what tremendous sense that would make if we could open up some roadways to pedestrian areas.
So these roads that'll be affected, and it'll begin in March 2027, so in a year. North Temple between Main Street and West Temple, West Temple between North Temple and South Temple are due to be completely closed. So you've kind of got, it's not entirely the whole square around Temple Square, but it's 3/4 of the roads around Temple Square. So they did pass that last night in their city council meeting, approved that. And if you remember, I think they're expecting 3 million visitors, something like that, in the 6 months. And uniquely to this Temple open house, it'll be open 7 days a week. And they anticipate, on average, 30,000 visitors a day, which, of course, will vary from, 10,000 to 50,000 plus in a day, depending on the time of day.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but when we had the Olympics in 2002, there were some streets and areas of Salt Lake that were made more into pedestrian areas. And I thought, because of the success in that, the way that the public responded to it, that maybe they would become permanent.
Yeah.
The Gallivan Center area, some of that, even right here across the street from us.
Yeah,
but
I remember
it just
that.
didn't, everything went back to streets.
Yeah.
And this may be the same thing. But if the people get comfortable with it and we find out other ways to divert traffic, maybe it's something that we can do.
Well, we have another Olympics coming anyway.
Right? Yeah, it'd be a good time to get to practice that and get something going so we can have these big areas where the people can congregate.
So part of this with the road closure, there's several reasons. Of course, it's congestion, traffic congestion, but it will also allow for additional safety features. And in our conversation with Sarah Weaver, she's editor of the Deseret News, earlier, she said that they anticipate fencing around the access points to get in to visit the temple, but you'll have to go through screening, right? I mean, we've just lived in an era where security concerns have become larger and larger. So this will allow for safety features like barricades, signs, emergency access, etc.
Well, when you and I went with our spouses to the
choir, the conference center.
At the conference center, just walking from the restaurant we went to the conference center was such a beautiful, comfortable walk, and there were so many people going back and forth, but you still had traffic. You still had cars, and I thought, this is a perfect place to open up the roadways a little bit, because so many people are going into that area. Let's face it, Temple Square is just a popular place.
Oh, yeah.
And the restaurants and facilities around it would certainly benefit from that. And I thought it was a beautiful night anyway, but it was just a pleasant walk that we enjoyed, and I thought, boy, they should make this open all the time.
So City Council had a busy night last night. They have proposals to restrict water usage and to close roads and to change road names.
Rename a road. Yeah, the Salt Lake City Council
busy.
Is certainly working hard. Well, so was a jury in Utah County hearing a case involving a Santaquin nurse. This was a case that I actually followed pretty closely just because I'm interested in things like this. But a Santaquin nurse was found guilty of manslaughter last night, not murder, after the death of her friend from an insulin overdose. We'll break down what happened. This actually started, Holly, as a death penalty case. It went to trial as an aggravated murder, so it wasn't just like a weak murder case. But the jury didn't find her guilty of aggravated murder or even simple murder. They found her guilty of manslaughter. We'll talk about the difference in what that means and what it'll mean for her when we come back after this.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Salt Lake City councilors are also seeking public input in the replacement of the title for Cesar Chavez Boulevard on 500 South. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has more.
Salt Lake City is one of many cities in Utah looking at alternate titles for roads named after labor activist Cesar Chavez. Dolores Huerta, co-founder of the United Farm Workers Union, revealed earlier this month accusations of sexual misconduct by Chavez, alleging that he had raped Huerta and taken advantage of other underage girls. Salt Lake City Council member Alejandro Poy suggested renaming the street after Huerta herself, as her work was equally instrumental in laborers' rights. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The U.S. has set a 15-point plan that it says would end the war in Iran, but Iran hasn't responded, and officials there say no negotiations are in the works. Meanwhile, the strikes in the region continue, and some strikes have penetrated Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. More from ABC's Matt Rivers.
At least 5 different missiles fired from Iran into different parts of Israel today. Most of them got intercepted. One of them apparently striking that power plant in Israel, but the power company there saying that no infrastructure was damaged there. It's unclear if that had made it to evade air defense systems or if it was simply allowed to go through because the Israelis figured out it was going to land in an area where it wouldn't do any damage.
Iran's ambassador to Pakistan also says there's no work to mediate talks. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 368 points to 46,486. Coming up, it's going to be a record hot day today. At least that's according to the forecast. Plus, we've still got delays on the freeways out there. We'll check traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Does your home have peeling paint or faded colors? Don't procrastinate. You need to protect your home with quality paint and a worry-free process, so make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. You quickly get a free estimate that's detailed, easy to understand, and then their trusted local professionals will bring fresh color to your home with quality craftsmanship at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com.
Grand Staircase Escalante is under attack.
Utah politicians are hastily racing to dismantle protections for this special place, one of America's most treasured national monuments and an important part of southern Utah's economy.
An overwhelming majority of Utahns support protecting the Grand Staircase for future generations.
Yet our voices are being ignored by those meant to represent us. Now's the moment to speak up. Learn more about this attack and what could permanently be lost at SUWA.org. Paid for by Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance.
How do you stay humble when you're America's #1 wiper blade? That's what we're currently dealing with at Rain-X. Is it even possible to humble brag when you bully Mother Nature like we do? Do we sound too conceited if we keep repeating how Rain-X is the #1 brand of wiper blades in America? No, we'll take a lesson from our wipers and just keep doing our job with humility. As America's #1 wiper blade. Rain-X. Outsmart the elements.
Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated. So don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart. Just complete the purchase. Hurry! This deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for healthcare reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Cormac Bone.
Our heaviest delays are in Weber County. Southbound I-15 still heavy and slow starting at 31st Street and reaching down to the I-84 interchange where there is still that crash blocking a right lane and shoulder. Be careful and give them the spaces that you get around them so they can work on clearing that off of the road. We also have heavy delays northbound on Highway 89 from the mouth of Weber Canyon all the way up to Harrison Boulevard. And in Salt Lake County, we do still have some delays on I-15 northbound from 21st South up to 13th South. In Utah County, some delays on northbound I-15 as well around Center Street with UDOT reporting a crash in that area. You deserve a home that feels like a sanctuary. Dreammakers Bath and Kitchen makes remodeling simple with one team, fixed pricing, and clear timelines. Schedule your consultation today at dreamwalkerremodel.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, hot. That's the only way to describe it. Highs potentially reaching 84 degrees. That would break the record heat for a third time in 3 days. Plenty of sunshine. That's what we're seeing right now, and 61 degrees at the moment. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, a Santaquin nurse was found guilty of manslaughter, not murder as she had been charged with after the death of her friend from an insulin overdose. Here is the reading of the verdict last night.
We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Megan Sunwall, is guilty of manslaughter.
So when the jury went back to deliberate, they were asked to consider whether or not the defendant, Megan Sunwall, would be convicted of, it wasn't just murder, it was aggravated murder, a crime that could carry the death penalty. That was the same level of crime that Corey Richards was charged with last week and that she was convicted of. The jury in that case, of course, came to a different verdict. But in this one, they were given the option of finding her guilty of a lesser offense. We call it lesser included offense. And they came back with the lesser offense. I don't know. Well, I do know a little bit about it because I've been involved with some of the attorneys on the case, whether or not they were really given the option to find her not guilty. I think that the defense felt like, hey, she does have some culpability here. Let's ask for a manslaughter instead of a not guilty, if that makes sense.
So help me understand, because at least as I remember hearing about it as it was unfolding, is that people thought that she actually killed her friend. And then how did we end up with potentially aggravated murder with the death penalty to aggravated murder to manslaughter and maybe assisted suicide? I don't understand the whole process here.
Okay, so what happened was this. In August of 2025, actually 2024, I'm looking at the police report and they have it dated wrong. They found a 37-year-old Highland resident had passed away. Her insulin levels were off the charts, and she wasn't a diabetic. And so they found a syringe near her bed, and they found other things, including text messages between her and the defendant, that led police to conclude that this was, and I hate to, put this label on it, but almost like an assisted suicide, a
right.
medically assisted suicide. That the defendant, Megan Sunwall, had helped her take her own life by giving her a toxic dose of insulin that she didn't need. And so when the police got there and they found that, they started doing an investigation, believing that this wasn't right. There was something wrong. And in fact, they talked to the deceased family, who said she wasn't struggling. She wasn't having a hard time.
Yeah.
If anything, her problems were financial. There was also a weird twist in this that sort of looks like the Corey Richards case a little bit, and that is that Sunwall, the defendant, had a potential financial incentive to do this because there was some talk between she and the deceased about an insurance policy worth over $1 million.
Yeah.
As it turns out, again, really like the Richards case, there was no such thing. There was no collection. So there was no money given to her. Her attorney went to trial on this case. Utah County did a thing again, and then I'll quit bringing in the parallels to the Richens case, where they said it's an aggravated murder, but we're not seeking the death penalty.
Yeah.
So you can charge in Utah aggravated murder,
Right.
which is murder with a kick, with a
Right.
hook. In this case, for the purposes of financial gain, to get something financially. And you can say, if a person's convicted of that, and the state can say, but we're not seeking the death penalty. In other words, the options are 25 to life or life without the possibility of parole, and the judge can decide that. However, in this case, the jury didn't find her guilty of
Right.
that, so that's off the table.
manslaughter is what carries what?
1 to 15.
Okay.
It's significantly less. She was also charged with and convicted of obstruction of justice for moving some of the information around. The things that she had, the medical things that she'd had there, syringes and things like that. They thought that she'd hidden some things. The jury did convict her of that. That's another 1 to 15. Of course, the judge can run them back to back, and the Board of Pardons may do what they want. But this was certainly going to be spend the rest of your life in prison had she been convicted of the aggravated murder.
It's interesting. It's interesting to me because for a couple of reasons. One is the death occurred in 2024, which to me feels kind of recent based on a lot of the legal cases that you and I talk about on this show, right? It feels like this was brought to trial in a relatively rapid manner. So has she
That's
been...
a good point. Yeah, it did go on a fast track.
Has she been incarcerated that whole time?
I believe so. I believe she's been in custody, and she will typically be given what's called credit for time served.
Yeah.
So a year and a half toward a 1 to 15 year sentence is significant. But I can look it up in a second here, but I believe that she's been in custody since her charge. Well, if a person's charged with aggravated murder in Utah, they're not going to be out on bail.
Yeah, no, sure. I appreciate that. I guess that was a dumb question.
No, it was dumb for me not to know right off the top of my head.
So relatively fast tracked. It feels like. I mean, I think with you mentioned the Richens case, but that was like 4.5 years, something like that.
Right.
So this one progressed. Can you tell us what were the arguments on behalf of the defendant? What were her attorneys saying?
I think what they were saying is this, because murder requires a knowing and intentional act. And I believe the defense was that this was not an intent to cause her death, to kill her, to do something that she didn't want to do. And assisted suicide is still a crime. I mean,
right.
you just can't do that.
It's not legal in the state of Utah.
It's not legal, and probably never will be in most states. But I think what they were saying was that that wasn't her intent to murder her. But
what was it?
Right. That's the thing. Was her intent to give her
put her in a coma?
To give her some peace or solace. No, I think that I'm not phrasing this very well, but I think that the defense was that it was an assisted suicide, but that the deceased did it. So it was reckless to provide her the medication, to give her the syringe
insulin.
To do it. But that was a reckless act, but it wasn't an intent to kill. It was intent to help the individual. And I could be wrong. I wasn't at the trial. I just remember this case coming about, and I was following it pretty closely for the last couple of years, just because it was a big case in Utah County. And they seem to get the really interesting cases right now in Utah. They've got
we're special down there.
Alleged Charlie Kirk killer down there too, and they've got that Michael Jane that allegedly killed the Santa Quinn police officer too. So they've got some big cases down there right now. And this is one that they got off their plate yesterday. She'll stay in custody. There's a sentencing set for May 5th, I believe, May 4th, and the judge will decide what to do with those two charges. And really, I think the judge is probably left with one issue, and that is if you run them to the same time or one after the other, because a manslaughter probably is going to result in a lengthy jail term, if not a prison term.
Let me ask you one final question. It's interesting in the news stories about this is that when they found Casey Terry, she was the one who ended up passing away. She was unresponsive, found by her uncle, but the defendant was sitting next to her.
Right. Yeah.
That seems, with her parents, that seems unusual.
Right, but it also seems, so I can see both sides playing into both sides. So the defense is going to say, of course she was there. She was assisting
her. Friend.
She was right. She was her friend. She was being with her. She wasn't running and hiding and, slipping something into her, her, Moscow mule or something like that.
Right.
She was there. The prosecution is saying, look, she's red-handed. She's literally right here doing it. So I think I think both sides played with that fact in their favor, and ultimately you have to think that this was a win for the defense. They got the lesser charge, and which was probably the best they could hope for in a case like that. And the jury deliberated and decided it was not a murder, not an aggravated murder, a manslaughter, which is a huge drop down.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I always appreciate your expertise on that. So it was an interesting case to me too, because I've been a nurse and I just could not imagine ever assisting someone to take their own life.
Yeah, no matter what they're paying.
No matter what. All right, look, we've talked a lot about the potential harms of AI on this show, but there also are some good uses for artificial intelligence. We're going to talk with an expert who shares with business owners, especially female business owners, some good ways to be able to use AI. So stay with us over the break.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
The weather is about to warm up. That means lawn care. Wouldn't you love a greener, healthier lawn without the hassle? Utah's tough climate doesn't make it easy, but J&J Garden Center has the answer to make it simple. So simple, you can do it yourself. The 5-step lawn care program at J&J Garden Center with Basin's Best Fertilizer is designed just for Utah's unique climate, giving you a thicker, stronger, weed-free lawn all season long. It's easy to apply, affordable, and covers up to 10,000 square feet. Just follow the simple 5-step plan and let Basin's Best Fertilizer do the rest and take the guesswork out of your lawn care. DIY and save big. No expensive lawn services needed. Get started today at J&J Garden Center and watch your lawn turn green with envy. Visit J&J Garden Center in Layton and get growing today. Just take the Layton Parkway exit to Main Street and head west on Gentile. J&J Garden Center. Country grown to your home.
You could file your taxes on a basic free service, which is fine. But are you okay with fine? Because when it's your money on the line, do you really want to guess if you missed a credit or hope the math is right? Get the confidence of TurboTax for free right on the Intuit Credit Karma app. Free Fed and free state for simple 1040s only. Around 37% of filers qualify. See details at turbotax.com/free. No schedules except for EITC, CTC, student loan interest, and Schedule 1A.
What in the world is going on?
You didn't hear? You can get iPhone 16e at Cricket Wireless for $0 when you switch.
iPhone 16e for $0.
No way. Yeah, and it has Apple Intelligence so you can clean up your photos.
Clean up your photos. Okay, but what's the hurry? The offer ends soon.
What they said.
Switch to Cricket and get iPhone 16e for $0 with no activation fee. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line and port in on the $60 Supreme Unlimited plan. First month service charge and tax to its sale. Terms and restrictions apply. See store for details.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
I think my biggest challenge was getting through to him to understand that love is real and you have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
Just knowing that there's just that other person that cares and loves me out there.
It feels great. And they've done so much for me, and I can only be appreciative every single day for just having them in my life.
I think it's been the best decision because I gained a son, and he's the best son ever. If I was down and out, he'd be there.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Imagine a world where you can leave the house and take your home Wi-Fi speeds with you. Thanks to Xfinity Mobile, it's not just a fantasy. Just picture it. You're at your kid's soccer practice, streaming the other game in 4K, just like that. In the airport, download a cozy family comedy in a snap with Wi-Fi Power Boost. What if the places you had to be felt more like everywhere you wanted to be? That's the magic of Xfinity Mobile. Reliable Wi-Fi and 5G when you need it. Xfinity. Imagine that. Cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines of unlimited. Visit xfinitymobile.com to learn more. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus regular rates for 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26. Taxes, fees, extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Inside Sources.
I think, Holly, we need to have a segment designated every week or 2 or 3 for artificial intelligence.
I know.
Because there's always something going on. And it seems like most of the times when we talk about it, it's something concerning or problematic.
I know.
Hey, we need to dial some things back. But apparently
the robots are going to take over and kill us all.
There we go.
So actually, that's not actually true. And one of the things that I think is super interesting is these conversations about how do we use it, but how do we keep it human focused and human centered. In fact, we've talked with the head of the Department of Commerce. Yeah, Margaret Bussey, thank you so much, to our guest. And
that's amazing.
Who's talked about human-centered AI. Well, we have in studio with us today 2 guests. We have Melanie Jones with the Women's Leadership Institute. She's the CEO over there. And Katrina Holzhauser, who's been working with artificial intelligence for quite a while. And both of you are here to instruct us. But first of all, I have a question for Melanie. If you could just give us a little bit of an overview about Women's Leadership Institute and why we have the opportunity to talk with Katrina today.
Yeah. So at the Women's Leadership Institute, we are dedicated to elevating women throughout every phase of their careers. And this involves helping them upskill, helping them recognize their leadership, and helping their companies recognize the talent that's right under their noses as well. We have cohort-based training, and this month we were so lucky to have Katrina Holzhauser with us, who is like an AI OG. And she talked to the cohort about AI, how to use it in your workplace. You know, so much of your success in the future is going to be determined by how your mindset is around AI. Do you think of it as a threat, an opportunity, a tool, a thought partner? Where is
a romantic partner?
A romantic partner? Well,
no.
Let's not do that. But that's going to determine how you're able to transition your career as we know that the whole workforce is changing.
So, Katrina, tell us about that, about exactly what she just said. Is it a threat? Is it a benefit? Is it a partner? I mean, tell us how we use that and what your message is.
So I have 2 things that I like to talk about. The first is it is here to stay. It's at the next level of technology, just like any. And the opportunity is huge if leveraged correctly. And the second part is the human in the center is what makes it ultimately powerful. AI does not have judgments. I mean, today's AI is retrospective, and I think that was one of the things I taught your students was you have to understand it has all the biases from all the things it's read in our history. And so your judgment matters. It does not have feelings yet, right? It can't read the room. It does not know what's important to you. So a year ago, we came and talked about with WLI about AI, and a lot of people were very nervous about it. This year, we surveyed, and I was really impressed how many people were already using it in their workplace. And that's great because if, I think about when the calculator came, right? if somebody was really good at long division already and they were a great mathematician and they leveraged the calculator, they became even better, right? If somebody wasn't great at long division, it helped them and they got better as well. But who was really the ultimate calculator expert? It was that person who was already. So if you're an expert in something, AI can multiply it. And I've just been so excited how much it's helped me.
Well, I'm really interested in hearing how you can use it to help. So Greg doesn't ever use it. I rarely use it, and we don't really use it for this show. But I'm really interested in how we could leverage the ability to use the good parts.
And so at WLI, we talked about first having a conversation. So don't think of it as Google, right? So it really is about history. It's about patterns. It's about recognizing what's come before. And so you can even start with whatever AI of choice you have and simply say, I'm interested in this. What should I ask you about? You can ask if for questions.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you don't have to be smart. Everybody wants to know what's a good prompt. I'm like, I don't know, ask AI. So it can help you with that. What should I be asking about? I had a doctor's appointment and I said, tell me what the doctor's going to ask me. I'm not trying to ask it to solve things for me, but I'm saying, what should I expect based on history?
Interesting.
And that's one thing also we talked about is that history has biases. So it's very male focused. So all the women out there that are listening, prompt and tell it. You can also tell it how to act. So say, I'm creating this program for women. What are the kind of concerns that are Utah women, right, that are in Utah? I use that prompt a lot, actually, and it's very helpful. So there's a lot of tailoring, and the partnership with AI and the human is so important. I used it. We are redesigning our mudroom, and there was something not quite right with our design. I said, tell me why this feels unbalanced. And I gave it a picture, and it was amazing.
Wow.
It said, you need an arch. I'm like, yes, we do. And
wow.
So we've incorporated an arch. It was great.
Wow.
It was great. So you had an example from one of the students?
Yeah, I loved hearing from one of our students who had to prep dinner that night, and she was just not feeling it. And she went to her refrigerator, opened the door, and took a picture, fed the picture to AI, and said, what should I make for dinner tonight?
Oh, wow. And what did she make?
She didn't tell us.
Actually, we should have asked. I was just sitting in the audience like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
There are so many times that would come in handy for me, and I never even considered that.
Katrina, I do use a calculator. I've gotten past the slide ruler, and so I'm moving forward. But I do.
He has a cell phone too.
Yeah, I got a cell phone. That was great. But what does tailoring for Utah women look like? How does that happen? What's the mechanism that you're thinking to have something like this tailored? You said for Utah women.
Well, and it can be for anybody. So for you as well, but. Tailoring happens at every level. So it begins with the prompt, really, if you are going to go start with an AI. So giving it background information that you're comfortable sharing is really helpful. That also helps the utilization. So narrowing the worldview, right? So if you can come in and say about your audience or about your family, about, not just what can I make for dinner, but you might say, what can I make for dinner that my picky 6-year-old will like and my 18-year-old will also enjoy. I mean, so that's that context. So giving it context is really helpful. I've done this in a professional setting where we had a presentation, we were going to interview somebody, so for you, and I gave 3 personas, so audience members of 3 different kinds, and I said, what would this person be interested in?
Oh.
What would that person? So I asked 3 times.
Wow.
From different perspectives, and it gave me great answers. I said, okay, now merge all 3 of those types of questions, and I got 10 questions from it, and then I modified it based on my judgment.
Yeah.
Right? So back to my judgment.
You mentioned information that you're comfortable giving AI. You talked to our class about privacy and security. Maybe you want to touch on that for this audience as well.
Whatever tool you pick, read the fine print so you understand and are comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you don't want it on the radio, you probably don't want to put it into AI.
So I have a question, and we only have a couple minutes left. It goes so fast. If somebody like us, we're trying to get comfortable with using AI, what is a good way to start with that?
So what I always encourage people is look at the tools you're already using today. There's probably some embedded AI. Go ahead and explore that. Always remember AI is not the calculator, so it can get things wrong. So your judgment matters. I'll just keep coming back and harping on that. So use the tools you have today. Then, if you want to go to a bigger tool, go compare based on what you're trying to do. Like this morning, I was comparing the three bigs, Claude, Chat, Gemini for a particular task I had. And I was asking AI about it, and it was giving me nice spreadsheets. So
Wow.
it depends what you're trying to do, what you're hoping to accomplish.
I served on a panel of lawyers last Friday. Holly had to cover for me, but we talked about AI and the ethical issues that involves for professionals, not just lawyers, when they're creating work and they're doing things that they're for their clients or for whoever they're doing it for. Because you can't, and I think you've said this better than I am, you can't just rely on AI. You've got it, and it's sort of information in, information out. But you also have to review what you've got, what you've received, correct?
Absolutely.
And make sure that it makes sense in terms of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and it does not make errors like an intern would make. It's not human errors. They're weird errors. I mean, I've had it just make crazy stuff. So I'm always vetting links. I'm always vetting. I've when you start to look at it and go, wait, that seems weird. Remember, it's predictive. It's like a casino. You can win sometimes, but not every time.
Well, thank you for joining us, both of you, and we'd like to have you back.
We'd love it.
This
We'd
is
love it.
something we
Thank
should
you.
have in a couple
So
of segments
interesting.
on.
Yeah.
When we come back, typically federal and state law enforcement agencies work together and share information, especially when they're involved in a shooting. But that's not the case in Minnesota, so the state is suing the Trump administration to get information about the deaths that happened there recently. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, Utah agriculture officials are offering a $10,000 reward to help find whoever vandalized an Iron County farm. Renan Reber, who runs the farm, tells KSL the damage could be as high as $40,000, namely because more than a dozen tires on heavy machinery were slashed.
We had noticed that they had actually punctured the sidewalls of the tires, as well as knocked off the valve stems and just destructive, just destroying stuff.
Police believe an animal rights activist group might have been involved, given the phrase "meat is murder" was spray painted onto one of the pieces of damaged equipment. The irony, Reber's farm doesn't have any livestock. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The White House says they sent a 15-point peace plan to the leaders of Iran, but Iran is publicly denying any talks are underway while strikes continue. We're now starting to see some changes in the Strait of Hormuz, with a few more ships getting through.
Basically what the Iranians have said here, and they've told the International Maritime Agency, that they will allow ships to transit the Strait of Hormuz in conjunction with Iranian authorities' cooperation. And by non-hostile, they mean people who they are not actively fighting against in this war.
ABC's Matt Rivers reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow's in the positive today, up 294 points to 46,419. Coming up, we should set another heat record today. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too. Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Grand Staircase Escalante is under attack. Utah politicians are hastily racing to dismantle protections for this special place, one of America's most treasured national monuments and an important part of southern Utah's economy. An overwhelming majority of Utahns support protecting the Grand Staircase for future generations. Yet our voices are being ignored by those meant to represent us. Now's the moment to speak up. Learn more about this attack and what could permanently be lost at suwa.org. Paid for by Southern Utah Wilderness Alliance.
Let's retrofit and renovate all buildings before it's too late. 45 water pipes and power lines to keep things flowing and get back online. EIGONE, let's work together to get ready. We don't have to be scared. Visit earthquakes.utah.gov to prepare.
Brought to you by Envision Utah.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bang. Let's check in with Cormac Bone.
Well, the crash that we had in Weber County on southbound I-15 has cleared off the road, and delays have followed suit. You're only going to run into a little bit of slowdowns in the construction zone now on southbound I-15 in Roy, but delays are heavier in Weber County on Highway 89 at Skyline Drive, especially northbound. This is due to traffic lights having some issues. They've also got it down to one lane both direction on Highway 89 as they work to clean those up. So congestion there is definitely a little heavier than normal. We do have a crash. This is in Utah County on northbound I-15 just after 820 South. Looks like we don't have any delays behind them after the morning drive. And then we also have this crash out in Tooele County on Mid-Valley Highway at Parachute Park Lane. Looks like they have closed that transition ramp to Parachute Park Lane. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during S&S Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options are available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingutah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we could get up to 84 or higher today in Salt Lake City, which would once again set another record high. But then a cold front moves in, and tomorrow we only get up to 65 degrees. Right now it's 61 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Several months ago, we talked about the shootings in Minnesota by federal officials that ended up killing Renee Good and Alex Priddy. And at the time, we talked a lot, Holly, on this show about the interaction and the interplay between local and federal authorities. And we... In Utah, actually, this is national because I'm involved in officer-involved shootings, and it's part of a national standard that you don't investigate your own. So if a police officer in Salt Lake City engages in deadly force and has to shoot someone, Salt Lake City Police Department will not do the investigation. It'll be done by South Salt Lake or
right,
West
exactly,
Jordan,
yeah.
whatever. But there's a pool of... I mean, every agency is competent to do an investigation. It happens all the time. So when these shootings occurred in Minnesota, you would expect the Minnesota local authorities would have had equal concurrent jurisdiction to look at the case because, and maybe even more because the federal officers were involved. It was ICE officers. You wouldn't expect ICE to investigate it. but the federal government has withheld information and not been sharing information with the Minnesota authorities. So guess what they ended up doing?
I think they had to sue.
They finally had to sue the Trump administration for access to this information. And it's not the kind of thing you would expect. But yes, I think the authorities in Minnesota felt like they had no choice.
I think, too, you've pointed out, for example, the Charlie Kirk shooting here is that we have cooperation between the FBI and Utah officials, right? And that was from day one.
Right.
And yet there seems to be this real reluctance to share any information at all with Minnesota.
Right, yes. And we saw FBI and Utah County authorities on the ground talking together. Let's work together. Let's solve this case. Let's see what we can do. I mean, it's a little bit different because it doesn't involve officer involved, but it does involve interagency interaction and making sure that things go well. And you expect that 99% of the time. I never had a problem when I was at the DA's office with the FBI saying, hey, bug out, this is our issue. Never, ever, ever. It's usually clear which agency is going to take the lead. But when you're looking at officer-involved shootings, it's a little tense because you're saying, hey, wait a minute, you're investigating one of our officers. We may be investigating one of yours in the future, but I've never seen a problem with that either. And it really, I see it a lot in the rural counties where you have sometimes it's a different county that investigates this. Here in Salt Lake City, we have probably a dozen jurisdictions, police jurisdictions, so it's fairly easy.
So tell us about this lawsuit. What are they hoping to get besides access to information?
Well, that's what they're hoping to get. Minnesota is claiming that they are frustrated that there was a crime allegedly committed in their jurisdiction. And this is the Hennepin County attorney, Mary Moriarty. So it would be apparently this happened in Hennepin County. So she's the county attorney charged with investigating crimes that occur within that county, and that would include crimes committed by law enforcement officers. If it was one of her officers, let the feds do it or let the neighboring county do it. But she's saying, look, we have every bit the right to investigate this case as the federal government does, maybe more, because we're not conflicted. And so she's suing the Trump administration, saying that what they're asking a judge to do is to force the federal government to comply and share information because they're not sharing information with the state authorities. I guess one thing that occurs to me is, why doesn't the state do their own investigation? But apparently they've buttoned up a lot of the information and maybe even the identities and the information about the shooters that were involved, the ICE agents that were involved.
So is there any level of reliability in trusting that the information that they might be given after a court case moves forward, that it would be reliable information?
Well, that's the second issue, right? And that's what they're also saying. The Trump administration is saying, first of all, you don't even have jurisdiction to investigate this. And the state's saying they do, and they don't trust that the federal government's going to give them the information they're looking for. So what you would do is, I even hate to equate it with the Epstein files, but release everything. Give us everything you've got. All the federal authorities that are investigating that case, whether they're FBI, whether it's Department of Homeland Security, no matter what it is, share all of your information, not classified parts or excluded. Share it all. Let us decide what we should do with this case and whether or not there's a crime that should be committed. They may decide that the officers were justified. The video doesn't seem to support that, I'll admit, but you do an investigation anytime there's an officer involved shooting. But these occurred, I don't remember, it's been several months now, and nothing has come of it. Nothing at all. And you would expect state authorities would have done something by now.
So what would be the time frame of this potentially?
The lawsuit?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that they've got the Fed's attention now, and a lawsuit like this could take a year, but they're going to move this on a fast track because they're saying we need this information. I'm sure they're going to have some sort of emergency hearing, sort of the equivalent of a temporary restraining order on the opposite side, a temporary order to force the person
at least preserve everything.
Right, yes, and to start cooperating with that. So I would expect that would go pretty quickly. They probably filed it in state court instead of federal court, which would give them a little bit of a leg up too. But yeah, I mean, it should have never come to this. There's no way it should have come to this. And maybe with the new director of Homeland Security, or he may be more cooperative than Kristi Noem was, and have a more cooperative approach to this. But the Minneapolis and the Minnesota Police Department are saying you can't, the public wants to know. Public has
Right,
a right to know
exactly.
here, and we have a right to investigate crimes in our jurisdiction. We're not saying somebody's guilty, but we sure have the right to look at it. And the feds are saying it's not your jurisdiction. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Absolutely is. They're 100% wrong about that.
Interesting.
A crime that's committed in the county is investigated by the county.
One of the things that I see with an Associated Press article is that Customs and Border Patrol is conducting, quote, its own internal investigation of the Alex Preddy case. And that's it, right? It's that we're conducting our own, and that's all you need to know. So,
But and that may be true. My pushback is this: it
I
didn't
know.
happen last week.
Right.
It didn't happen behind closed doors, and it's a who done it kind of a thing. There are probably 100 cameras that captured this. There are probably 1,000 people that were there or within the proximity of it.
Right.
We know what happened. We know who was involved. Let's get the investigation moving forward.
Well, and if you remember, at first, there was no administrative leave for either one of the officers involved in
they
the
go
shooting.
right back to work.
They did, and they have since, I think there was enough public outcry that they were put on administrative leave, but it was quite a while later.
And the state has to hope that the federal government will share the identity of the officers because, as we know, they were masked. And I don't know that they were wearing name badges. It was really
They were not.
difficult to identify who they were. So the state has every right to know, and this lawsuit is almost certainly going to prevail. And maybe the federal government will just comply at some point and save everybody the time and expense.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about jobs. And I don't think this is a surprise, but it is a particularly bad time to hunt for new jobs. This is according to a new Gallup poll. We're going to check in with what's going on with today's job market after we come back from this break.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Kenny Michaels right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Kenny is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Kenny's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
Go from daydreamer to industry leader with Amazon Business. From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at AmazonBusiness.com.
Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated. So don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart. Just complete the purchase. Hurry! This deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better, your energy comes back, you don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
The new Inside Sources.
A lot of times when we talk about the strength of the economy, we talk about jobs, among other things. But a recent Gallup poll, Holly, shows that 72% of U.S. workers think it's a bad time to find a job. And college graduates are particularly pessimistic. Only 19% of those are optimistic about finding a job. 81% meaning not too keen on it.
Yeah, and I'm looking right at the Gallup article about this poll, and they say that for the first time since Gallup began measuring the life evaluation of the American workforce, more U.S. workers are struggling in their lives than are thriving. And so that's an important data point. But I wanted to talk with Robert Spendlove, senior economist with Zions Bank. Robert, thanks for joining us today.
We had Robert.
Oh,
there he is.
There we go.
Are you there? Okay, good to be with you.
Thanks, Robert. What's going on with the job market? Are you seeing the market actually match what these poll numbers are showing?
Yeah, it's a great point. And so, what we're talking about here is kind of sentiment of workers. And then we have to look in the actual labor market and see what the data is showing. And there's some truth to it. It's not as bad as people feel, but there is some pressure. So if you look at job growth in the last month in the United States was down. It was down about 92,000 jobs. But part of that was because of some dynamics of strikes in California. If we look at the unemployment rate remains pretty low. It's at 4.4%. And you look historically, that's a pretty good unemployment rate. But once you start to dig into the data a little bit more, what we see is layoff announcements have increased, and we're seeing kind of a slowing in the hiring rate and also in job openings. And so that's what people are feeling. Part of the problem is we've had such a positive period a couple of years ago coming out of the pandemic. And the question is whether we're just going back to normal or whether there's other things going on.
Do we know, Robert, any particular sectors in the job market that are doing better or worse than others, or is it seemingly across the board right now that jobs are really a little bit strained?
Yeah, the one of our strongest sectors is healthcare. And we continue to see a lot of growth in that. As the population ages, more people are demanding healthcare, and so we're seeing a lot of growth there. The tech sector is kind of pulling back. We're seeing a lot of cutbacks and layoffs in the tech sector. But again, part of that was kind of an overexpansion of that sector coming out of the pandemic. They laid off really fast, and they laid off too many people, and then they overhired in 21 and 22, and they may have overexpanded. And now, so we've got kind of a natural return, but also when you throw in artificial intelligence and some of the changes there, it tends to be kind of big swings in that sector.
Well, speaking of artificial intelligence, Robert, right, I'm looking at a New York Times article specifically talking about young college graduates and saying that AI could reshape work, but for now, they're really, really struggling to find a job.
Yeah, and that's the big unknown, right? There's a lot of things that we can measure, and a lot of things that we can, we can find out more about. One of the struggles is, what is the impact of artificial intelligence going to be? We see it being used even more in the workplace, in society, and it is having some distortions, and specifically in the tech sector. So you look at tech service jobs have dropped since ChatGPT came out in October of 22. When you look at software developers, are seeing some impacts, especially for those younger workers. Customer service reps are seeing some of those impacts. But what we don't know right now is exactly how is this going to play out. We know that it's going to be revolutionary, but is that revolution more like the dot-com revolution of 25 years ago, or is it like the industrial revolution where society fundamentally changes? And we don't know that yet. And is it going to overwhelmingly impact white-collar or blue-collar workers? Is it going to be those college-educated workers, or are we going to start having more of an emphasis on those skilled trades as well? And those are the things that we just don't really understand yet, and that creates a lot of uncertainty and concern among workers.
Yeah, and I think it creates a lot of uncertainty for young people considering what to do when they get out of high school, because it has always been, at least in my lifetime, the case that the ticket to a good job is a college education. But a lot of times we're having service industries, skilled labor, welders, other construction, things like that, where there's a dearth of laborers right now, and people coming out of college are seemingly a little bit frustrated, or at least pessimistic about finding jobs there.
And that's one of the other dynamics right now, is how quickly things are changing. You go back to that industrial revolution example, where it was the next generation was impacted. So, it was the children that were impacted by the revolution. This time, you start off in college studying a degree, and by the time you're done with college, that degree has changed fundamentally, and the demand for that degree has changed. Yeah. And so how do you plan ahead? And that's really what people are struggling with. So, do you go from being a computer programmer to a welder? And those aren't easy transitions, but these are what a lot of these college students and young people are facing.
So, Robert, I wonder if we could just talk overall about the economy in general. Where are things right now? We know we've got a war going on in the Middle East. Where are we sitting right now?
Yeah, so, and we've got kind of the inflation shock and the inflation fear. And we've seen markets reacting to that. So that's kind of one side. It looks like, there might be some signs of that getting better. And so we can kind of look through that inflation shock. But a lot of our inflation from during the pandemic has not gone back to normal yet. So we've still got a little bit of inflation that we have to worry about. The other side is what we've been talking about, which is the labor market. And yes, there are some signs that we need to be watching. One of the things I would emphasize, though, is while the hiring rate, so the rate of hiring of new workers is down. Before the pandemic, it was 3.9%. It's now down to 3.3%. It's the lowest in about 10 years. However, we're not seeing a big increase in layoffs. So layoffs before the pandemic in 2019 were about 1.9 million. Today, they're 1.6 million. And so the way we characterize this is that it's a low hire, low fire environment. And so we're not seeing huge changes or huge problems in the labor market, but we need to be watching it. And we're not seeing huge impacts in inflation, but we also need to be watching that too. And really what this feels like to a lot of people is just very high uncertainty and kind of a higher risk environment.
And Robert, it seems like interest rates are not coming down, at least not in any significant way. That may be a check on inflation and check on some of these other things. That maybe we should expect that interest rates are probably going to maintain where they are, at least for some time. Is that a fair assessment?
That's exactly right. So the Federal Reserve met last week to kind of decide what to do on those interest rates. And that's exactly the message they said. They said with this, the Fed has what's called a dual mandate. So they're mandated by law to focus on employment and inflation. And so when Jerome Powell came out and spoke, he said, we've got risks on both sides. We have the risk of higher inflation. We've got the risk of employment. And he said the best thing to do right now is to just kind of wait and see. And, we need to see what happens with the Middle East. We need to see what happens with the labor market. We need to see what happens with our overall inflation. And rather than committing to big drops in interest rates, which could spur more inflation, or committing to increasing rates, they said our best bet is to continue to assess the data on an ongoing basis.
Robert, maybe 30 seconds, but what's going on in the Middle East isn't helping the economy much either, is it? Especially with gas prices and other things that are just going through the roof.
Oh, no, absolutely. So, for the last year, gas prices have been at $60 a barrel. Now they've been upwards of $100 a barrel. So gasoline prices are up $1 a gallon. All that could be hugely inflationary, that shock, if it continues. But the question is whether it continues, whether the war is 3 to 6 weeks or 3 to 6 months. And that's what the Fed and markets and everyone is trying to figure out.
Thank you very much. That was Robert Spendlove, senior economist for Zions Bank, who's a regular on our show and helps us a lot. At least helps me understand what's going on. Well, hey, when we come back, headlight glare. It troubles me. It's being a worse issue for drivers at night, according to a AAA survey. And boy, do people have opinions about this. We'll talk about the rising problem and what our listeners are telling us when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. A person is dead after getting hit by a car this morning. It happened around 1500 South and Redwood Road. Salt Lake City police officer Greg Lovell says the person who was hit was not in a crosswalk.
We always encourage everyone to cross with the lights and in crosswalk. If you're a little bit a ways from an intersection, take the time to go to a crosswalk. It's where drivers are trained to look for pedestrians, and it's definitely the most safe place to cross.
Officials have not identified the pedestrian at this time. A new survey from AAA finds a majority of drivers struggle with glare from headlights when driving at night, and 3/4 of those people say it's been getting worse over the past decade. AAA spokesperson Julian Paredes says part of the problem is the increasing popularity of xenon lights, which are brighter. They may be helpful for the owner, but not for others on the road.
But we're finding that it's also a little bit less helpful in other scenarios, and especially if cars are in front of you. That just means, having really bright lights just means that you're kind of impeding the visibility for other drivers.
He says another issue is more people are opting for taller vehicles that shine their headlights right into the vehicle in front of them. They're going to talk about this on Inside Sources coming up in just a few minutes. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We're learning more about what may have led to the collision between the Air Canada jet and the Port Authority fire truck at New York's LaGuardia Airport.
The fire truck involved did not have a transponder, the electronic beacon that would have shown up in the control tower and would have waved off, told the Air Canada jet to go around, and prevented this mishap.
ABC aviation expert Steve Ganyard reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 336 points to 46,460. Coming up, we're already on our way to a record hot day before a cold front blows in. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because
Something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com, and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, andcollar.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. Any big problems out there, Cormac?
Yeah, our heaviest delays are on Highway 89 in South Ogden. This is due to traffic light issues. They've got it down to one lane at the intersection on Skyline Drive and Highway 89, both directions. It's really heavy northbound Highway 89 as you come up that hill. They've got it down to one lane as they work on those lights and try and get them working again. We also have a crash. This is out in Tooele County on Mid-Valley Highway. Northbound Mid-Valley Highway is closed due to this crash at Parachute Lane. Drivers are being transitioned to SR 138 so that you can get all the way over to SR 36, and you're still going to run into a little bit of slowdown northbound SR 36 in Lake Point trying to get onto I-80. And we also have a crash on I-15. This is northbound just after 820 East South. They are blocking a right shoulder. No delays in their wake, so I-15 is a calm drive all across the Wasatch Front. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast, that thermometer just shooting up. We should hit 84 today in Salt Lake City, setting another record high. Then a cold front blows in, and we only get up to 65 tomorrow, 68 on Friday. Already 70 degrees today in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, I thought it was just me, but I've noticed more and more, and I thought it was just my eyes or the way it was
I thought it was
aging,
just me
that
too.
headlight glare was bothering me more than ever. Well, apparently, according to a survey that we're going to talk about in just a minute from AAA, 6 in 10 drivers now struggle with headlight glare, and nearly 3/4 of those believe it has worsened over the last decade.
Yeah, I thought it was just me too because I'm getting older, and it turns out it's not. And as I read this survey or this new information from AAA, my question is only 6 in 10 because I didn't realize that the lights had actually changed on cars.
Right. There's a lot happening with cars in terms of their height and the lights and the technology. And yeah, so there's reason why a lot of people suffer from headlight glare issues.
Yeah. My husband actually suffers enough that he can't drive at night if it's raining. So he had LASIK surgery, and it really impacted his ability to handle reflection off the road at nighttime. And so he doesn't drive if it's raining at night because he really can't see.
Well, we have Julian Paredes with AAA to join us and explain this. Julian, thanks for being with us this morning.
Yeah, of course.
So what can you tell us about the survey, what AAA was looking at, and what we'll get to the findings in just a minute, but tell us about the impetus of the survey.
Yeah, well, AAA routinely conducts surveys just to get a sense of national road trends, like what's happening when it comes to road safety. And something recent is a lot of people are having trouble seeing at night. And like you said, 6 out of 10 people in the survey reported headlight glare being a big problem. There's been a lot of big changes with cars in the last 10 years, and this is something new that's happening.
So can you tell us, I'm looking at your survey, and it says female drivers report glare more often than male drivers, and I made an assumption that maybe it's because female drivers tend to be shorter, but you also say the height of the driver doesn't significantly influence the likelihood of experiencing glare. So why are female drivers more likely to have a problem with glare?
Yeah, that definitely is really interesting. And the big thing about it is it can affect everybody. You know, men reported headlight glare, but more women. I do think it has a lot to do with the vehicle more than the driver. You know, there's a lot of big changes. You know, probably one of the big changes in the last 10 years is SUVs and crossovers are becoming a lot more popular. Those vehicles have taller ride height. And, you know, that kind of causes the perfect angle for, you know, really bright headlights to be really distracting. So when it comes to gender, maybe it's just a personal preference of men just prefer taller vehicles.
Julian, can you talk to our listeners about technology? Because I recently had a headlight go out in my car, and it wasn't like go to the store and buy a little bulb and stick it in there and you're on your way. It was a major production. In fact, I finally had to go to a dealer and say, "Hey, will you change my headlight?" I mean, the technology, the modern day headlight is nothing like it was even 20 or 30 years ago.
No, definitely a lot. There's been a lot of big changes. Probably the most significant is the switch from halogen headlamps to xenon. And like you were talking about, those halogen headlamps were really easy. It was just a simple bulb to change. But those xenons are really, really bright and a little bit more complicated. And just because they are so much brighter, it is something that people are kind of learning to cope with in the last 10 years. It's almost like those halogens. It's almost like blasting those high beams at you in normal space for, you know, the xenons.
Yeah, so it does seem like they have their brights on. Is there anything that drivers can do to help with the glare or to help drive safely as cars are coming towards them with these lights that seem so bright?
Yeah, it's definitely really tricky. Probably one of the best things drivers can do right now, if this is a problem, is just give yourself a lot of extra space between you and the car in front of you. That's just really good advice for whenever visibility is hard. That gives you a little bit more lead time, and it gives you more time to react to anything that happens. And if you're getting a lot of glare, more time to react is really good.
And Holly mentioned at the outset about her husband not liking to drive at night, especially in rain. My wife doesn't like to drive at night either, but she bought some glasses, and I don't expect you to know this, Julian, necessarily, but there seems to be some technology with the eyewear that can, I don't know, sort of deal with some of the glare and lessen it. It seems like she can drive a little bit better because of some technology that she's got from her ophthalmologist.
Yeah, definitely. And part of this survey actually included people with glasses, and about 70% of people in the survey reported having problems. So it's definitely something that's a little bit more like heightened with people with glasses. But the thing about glare is, like if you have glasses, you kind of encounter glare everywhere. The thing that's really dangerous when it comes to driving is you're driving, so it's a lot more dangerous. So if you have any tricks for reducing that glare for your glasses, it's going to come in handy when it comes to driving as well.
Let me ask you a question about regulation, because as these have changed and more people are having trouble, do you think that there's a policy solution to dealing with these bright lights?
It's definitely possible. The thing about this survey is this is just kind of a newer trend. We're just kind of understanding like what this problem actually is. It's only come out in maybe the last decade or so. So hopefully manufacturers take notice and come up with a solution on their own, because it is a problem. Visibility is extremely important. If the headlight glare makes roads unsafe, it's something that manufacturers ought to address, even without legislation or otherwise.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Julian, anything else that the AAA is working on right now that we should know about?
Yeah, we're always conducting studies for like road safety, the latest trends. Right now we're monitoring gas prices very carefully. But yeah, anything when it comes to travel and gas prices, this is something like, AAA is monitoring very closely right now.
Thank you for joining us. That was Julian Paredes with AAA. And look, we have heard from our listeners already 700 plus comments on a Facebook question about headlight glare.
Yeah, I think we're at 690 before the show started.
And now we're at like 730, something like that. It's you all are opinionated, boy. And I'm telling you, as I skim through these, I don't see anybody who's like, yeah, it's not a problem.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I thought it was me because it does seem to bother me more. I just thought old age was making my eyes
I know.
sensitive.
That may be a factor as well.
It really does in ways that I never thought of before.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, look, we do want to hear from you. You can call us. It's 801-575-TALK. Do bright headlights impact your comfort or confidence with driving at night? That's 801-575-TALK. And I'll just give you one teaser from our Facebook comments, and they just say this: today's headlights are brighter than the high beams of older vehicles. That's exactly what our guest just said. And then one other comment, and this is on Facebook: I'm glad people with LED headlights can see into the future with those things, but the rest of us are blind. All right, give us a call. We'll be right back.
Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs change, kids grow up, new memes come and go. But what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Well, thanks to the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need the most, that finds and fixes any issues before you even notice. It's like a super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth for the next 5 years. All your devices will be working in perfect harmony with the equipment, with no annual contracts, no fees, and no strings. So even though your kid will grow up and you still won't understand 6, 7, the price for your sharp, reliable internet will stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Some stories are written in ink, others are written in the heart. Experience the romance and the legend of Titanic, the exhibition, now open in Sandy. Stroll the promenade under a starry sky, stand before the grand staircase, and connect with true stories of love and heroism that have captivated the world for over a century. Discover a date night or a family outing unlike any other. Tickets are moving fast. Book yours at titanicexhibition.com. Titanic, the exhibition, at the shops at Southtown and Sandy.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Okay, we want to hear from you. Call us at 801-575-TALK or text us at 57500. Do bright headlights, the new modern headlights, impact your comfort or confidence while driving at night? Apparently, to a lot of Americans, according to our last guest from AAA, you bet it does. 60% are saying it's a real problem.
I know. And for me, as I start to see these comments, 700 plus on our Facebook question, thank you so much for that, is why isn't it higher, right? Why are people, I guess if you're riding in these higher trucks, those people aren't having them shine right in their eyes. Look, we have a texter who says my future isn't even as bright as those darn LED headlights.
So the technology's great. You have these LED lights, and when you're behind the wheel of a car that has those headlights, you can see better, further,
well,
and
yeah, because
clearer
they're
than
like
you
the
ever
brights.
could before. Right, but if that car's coming at you, not only does it affect your vision, I mean, at some points it almost hypnotizes you. It almost gets to the point where you're looking at the light instead of the road ahead of you because it's so bright. The deer in the headlight.
Exactly. Exactly. Look, I'm going to read just a few more comments, and they're just over and over and over. Our commenters on our Facebook post are saying things like, yes, especially on the big pickup trucks. Yes, those vehicles, they're brighter. These lights are brighter than the old brights used to be. They're blinding me not only when you drive towards them, but when you see them reflected in your either rear view mirror or your side mirror. I've seen that too, right? It's like, you guys, it's so bright I can't even see in my own car.
It's been interesting to see. When we have these surveys, we have guests, our audience rather, texters call. We sometimes you don't get any response at all. And I thought this would be one of those. We have like 700 people that have chimed in on headlight glare, of all things. And now that you think about it, it is a big deal. It's something I think about almost every day now when I'm driving. I'm in one
Well,
of those
it can
6 of
be
10.
it can be a little scary, and we've had a number of people both on our Facebook post, but texting our text line, and we still want to hear from you. So you can still call us 801-575-TALK. But they're saying, look, my husband and I, this texter, we've been affected by these new super bright, blinding headlights, and those are in all caps. We've commented to each other, this texter says, about how dangerous it is and how hard it is to see with an incoming vehicle with the super blinding headlights, in all caps, worse than rain glare. I'll tell you, the other night I had, I don't have the super bright headlights. My cars are too old. But I had a car coming towards me, and on the side, I had a deer, but I didn't see it because the headlights were so bright. I didn't see the deer on the side of the road until I was right beside it. And luckily, it did not jump out and hit me.
Or you'd have slowed down a lot.
I would have slowed down more. I mean,
one thing I've noticed, and I'm guilty of this myself, is that when a manufacturer builds a car, they'll immediately dial the headlights to a certain angle so they hit the road.
Right.
But a lot of us with our 4-wheel drive vehicles, I want to put a little bit bigger tires on my Jeep, and so I lift it an inch or two.
Oh, yeah.
And you
then it's higher.
Literally lifting the front end for the most part, and so suddenly it's a higher vehicle, and you don't readjust the headlights. At least I don't, and so I wonder why some people are flashing me sometime with that, because I'm probably
because they think it's bright lights.
They think I've got my bright lights on, and I see that from other people. I'll flash them, and they'll flash me back and realize they even have a brighter level. You know what I mean? Their lights are not at the brightest level.
We have several texters and commenters on social media that are saying, what if we painted the lines in the road brighter, right? I don't know if that would be so that they're more reflective, right? So that you can see the lines better. That may be a solution. I don't know. But there does seem to be a real concern and a real worry that this could really be dangerous, I think.
Well, I think they do try to do the best they can. They do paint the lights or the lines brighter and brighter all the time, but then you run over it with your car, and 1,000, a million, whatever cars go over that, and pretty soon everything's dull again.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's true. We have another texter that says that they worry when they send their new teenage drivers out at night because as an experienced driver, they're nervous with these bright headlights, right? And I agree. And I thought, like you, I thought I was just getting older, and maybe it's harder to drive at night, but they are so bright.
Right. And so going to this study a little bit further, and we talked about a little bit of these, drivers who wear prescription glasses experience headlight glare at a rate of 70%. People who don't wear prescription glasses have a less problem with glare. That's 56%. Pickup truck drivers, as you might expect, are less likely to report glare, only 41%. Other drivers, 66%. And here's one that I didn't expect, and we talked about it earlier. Female drivers report glare at a rate of 70%,
right,
and males at 57%. Age doesn't seem to impact it like I thought at the beginning.
Right.
but gender does.
We asked our last guest from AAA if it was, because I thought, well, maybe it's because female drivers are typically shorter. He said it's not actually a height thing.
Right.
But for some reason, women seem to be, they are at least saying that they're impacted by these really bright lights.
So AAA does make some recommendations if you're a driver, if you're an operator, and that is to ensure that your headlights are clean. It almost seems counterintuitive. If they're clean, and that they're fully functional and part of the original equipment from the manufacturer. In other words, don't get aftermarket stuff, or if you do, point them down, and avoid looking directly into oncoming headlights. That's hard to do. I mean, like I said, the deer in the headlight thing. But if you just keep your eye on the road, even though the car is coming at you with their bright headlights on.
So we've had a couple of texters mention astigmatism, and saying, one of them says, throw in astigmatism and it's a party. And I've seen some images trying to show you what it would look like, and it can cause, these really bright lights can cause basically circle halos around the lights that are multicolored and maybe move. But one of our other commenters says that it's actually physically painful to have these bright lights. Look, we still want to hear from you. You can call us 801-575-TALK. Do bright headlights impact your comfort or confidence while driving at night?
So at the text or the Facebook inquiries that you're looking at are almost all saying it's a problem.
Yeah, there have been a couple that say, no, I just don't look at the lights,
right,
which could be a solution, but almost everybody is saying, yeah, it's a problem. And whether they come up from behind you and they're shining their lights, and you can always flip your rear view mirror so that it is aimed downward more. But I can't really do that with my side mirror. I mean, I can move it, but it really, I would say, and this is only hazarding a guess, but I would say 95% plus of our 700 plus comments are, this is a problem.
And my car is a little bit of a sports car, so it's lower to the road, which means when a car comes up behind me, oftentimes the headlight's right in my mirror.
Yeah, exactly, right in your mirror. And, we have the... It's like one texter says this, these LED headlights are horrible. I'm glad they can see 100 miles away, but they're blinding everybody else. And then another one says, and we were talking about, is there a policy solution potentially? One of our commenters says, if a person were to run for office and eliminating these was the entirety of their platform, they'd win.
Our last guest, Julian Paredes from AAA, told us a tip that we should use if you want to get rid of glare.
Yeah, it's definitely really tricky. Probably one of the best things drivers can do right now, if this is a problem, is just give yourself a lot of extra space between you and the car in front of you. That's just really good advice for whenever visibility is hard. That gives you a little bit more lead time, and it gives you more time to react to anything that happens. And if you're getting a lot of glare, more time to react is really good.
All right, we do have a listener. We have Barry from Roy. Thanks for calling us. What's your experience with these lights, Barry?
Oh, good morning. Yeah, I'm in a Mustang, so I'm low to the ground. So what I do is the driver's side mirror, I end up angling it down, so I can't even use the mirror, but it cuts out the headlights behind me. But the section of road out on 215 near I-80's got those big green things up on the top of the center dividers.
Yeah.
But you come down from Layton and you go down towards Farmington, you got that entire strip of construction zone there, and you are blinded by the lights no matter if you're going southbound or northbound. And we need to get something done about that. That causes a crash because the lines aren't painted white enough right now. They're in a construction zone, and they haven't repainted the center lines.
I know. I drove
Thanks
that
for
exact
that, Barry.
route yesterday, and I know exactly what he's saying, because cars would come into an area where they had repainted or tried to repaint, and so there were two sets of lines, and people were going, which lane do I go into here?
Exactly.
It was
I
a
know.
real problem.
Yeah.
I just sort of backed off and let everybody pick.
We do have one comment right before we wrap, is that one of the callers that wasn't able to stay on the line said that halos that you see around the light, they could be a symptom of cataracts, so make sure you get that checked out. But thanks for weighing in, everybody. Lots and lots of comments on this.
Well, Meta has been found liable for endangering children and misleading users about safety. We'll talk about what that means and the size of this verdict. It was big. We'll be right back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. There's a large fire burning in Utah County right now with billows of smoke in Provo, but the Provo Fire Department says this is a prescribed burn and it is under control. Salt Lake County City Council has voted to impose new water rules that could directly impact a proposed ICE facility on the west side.
All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This motion carries unanimously.
The council last night voted to impose a new ordinance capping the water use of some large developments within city limits. The parameters include a warehouse on the west side that could become an ICE detention center. Though city leaders say they need to address the current state of the drought as Utah just logged its worst snowpack on record. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Iran has rejected President Trump's 15-point peace plan to end the war. Instead, Iranian officials have presented a plan of their own. ABC's Karen Travers is at the White House.
They're laying out some of their conditions right now, and they include a complete end to all the hostilities right now, which they call aggression and assassinations by the enemy. They also want to ensure that the war does not restart after it ends, and they're calling for repayments, reparations for the war damages caused by these strikes over the last several weeks by the U.S. and Israel.
President Trump's plan would have required Iran to give up its missile and nuclear capabilities. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 355 points. The S&P is up 48 points. And coming up, a high of 84 today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
My friend Joey loves to use old familiar sayings.
You know what they say?
The problem is,
don't look at a gift horse, cause you can't make them drink.
He gets a lot on the mixed up.
People who live in glass houses,
here it comes,
shouldn't cry over spilt milk.
There are also a lot of sayings in the financial world, like, you'll pay lower taxes in retirement. But for many people, it's just not true. You may have done a great job saving in that 401k or IRA, but Uncle Sam is ready to grab a big portion of that money. The team at Galileo Wealth Management can help with strategies that you can start now to lower your tax bill in the future. More for you and less for Uncle Sam.
Or as they say, an apple a day is worth two in the bush.
Get the facts on your tax bill in retirement. Call Galileo Wealth today at 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online at GalileoWealth.com.
And remember, a stitch in time keeps the doctor away. It does, you know.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
At IFA, our mission is to support our customers' passion for the rural and Western lifestyle. Whether you have a small garden or acres of farmland, a few backyard chickens or hundreds of cattle, our feed, farm supply, and agronomy experts are here to help. And we've been doing it better than anyone else for more than 100 years now. Stop by one of our stores today or visit us online at ifa.coop and get the kind of service and support for your lifestyle. IFA, helping you grow the things you love.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Tino Nani.
No delays on any of our major highways. However, we are seeing delays at the SR36 intersection at Saddleback Boulevard in Tooele. This is affecting both directions of traffic. Also seeing congestion up north in Weber County. It's on Highway 89 between Harrison Boulevard and the I-84 interchange. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave Utah has your blacktop covered at GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Call or visit GoPaveUtah.com. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 84 today with mostly sunny skies. Things cool down to the 60s tomorrow and Friday, but then it's back up to the upper 70s and 80s over the weekend. Right now it is 70 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, this was a big deal yesterday, but Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, now says it plans to appeal a first-of-its-kind civil verdict that was handed down yesterday in New Mexico. ABC's Sophie Flay explains that case.
In a landmark verdict, a jury in New Mexico has found Meta liable for endangering children and misleading users about the safety of its platforms. New Mexico accused Meta of failing to protect minors from abuse. Prosecutors were seeking $2 billion in damages, but the jury ordered the company to pay just $375 million.
Just?
Well, yeah. I think it's interesting, and I think we need to let everybody know that there are multiple lawsuits against Meta and other social media companies. And in fact, there's a big one in California where the jury has been sequestered for more than a week, and they've announced that they have reached a verdict, but we don't know what that is yet.
If they do, we'll try to break away to that. But this would happen in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Prosecutors, that makes me... Maybe it was a criminal case. That doesn't make sense. But the jury deliberated for... It was a 7-week trial. It was in California federal court. The jurors deliberated for more than a week.
That's the one that we're talking about that we don't know the verdict yet.
Yes.
But yeah, so we're talking about, this is a New Mexico case.
Yes, you're right.
No, it's okay. It can be confusing, right? That's why we're talking about it. So we know that there's multiple different cases. So this one specifically looks at the harm of endangering children and misleading users about the safety. The one in California is one about addiction to social media and whether social media companies knowingly cause their algorithms to get people addicted. So they're similar, but there's like 1,500 something cases around the country going after social media companies in some way. So this one in New Mexico, as I understand it, was brought by the state and is specifically on children's safety. And, Utah has done something very similar.
Yeah, so you're right. The New Mexico case, we'll break it down a little bit because the California case, they have a verdict, but when the jury comes back, we'll break to that. But the New Mexico case was brought by state prosecutors there against Meta for its conduct, which caused harm. They filed it under what would in Utah be our public safety code.
Okay.
And the jury there found that Meta was responsible to the tune of $375 million after the state had asked the jury to award many times that, $1 billion.
So it's interesting, this case in New Mexico, because one of the things that the state was alleging is that Meta failed to disclose what it knew about the harmful effects of its platforms on children, specifically in violation of New Mexico's consumer protection laws. But they were really looking at how the algorithms kept kids online and made them at risk for sexual exploitation on social media, right? And that's an interesting way to come at it. And Meta testified that they have these safety parameters in place to keep kids safe, and they're going to appeal the verdict. But I think maybe, I don't know, but I think maybe this is the first of a number of lawsuits that are going to end up showing harm. And maybe like big tobacco back in the day, maybe these big social media companies are going to have to change.
Right. Wow, and it's interesting. I didn't realize this one in New Mexico was even going, let alone that it would be that large, the large in relative terms, because Meta is valued at $1.5 trillion, so $375 million is certainly going to hurt, but not, it's not going to put the company in bankruptcy or anything like that.
No.
But still, this government was hoping for 5 times that amount.
I think they were valued. I think Meta's valued at $1 trillion. I think it's one of the $1 trillion companies in the world. So you're specifically talking about the money, and there was a juror in the trial who said she spoke about wanting to keep kids safe. The argument was over how many children were impacted. The maximum per child was $5,000, and she said she felt like it was important to give the max. But I guess the disagreement was with how many kids were actually impacted by this in New Mexico.
$375 million by 5,000.
That's a lot
of kids. That's a lot of kids. Not what they were hoping for, but that's still a huge thing. And obviously, this is going to change what Meta does. It's going to change what other media platforms do because you can't afford this. I mean, even $375 million is a huge hit. So you would expect that other companies are going to follow suit not being the best word to be used there and say, hey, wait a minute, we're just going to be wading into one lawsuit after another here unless we do something.
It's interesting in Europe and other countries as well. So Australia and New Zealand, they have really held social media companies responsible by using really big fines, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're allowing kids on platforms where they shouldn't be, if they're not providing the consumer protections that they need to, like they've slapped them with some really big fines. And now we're starting to see a little bit in the United States where that's happening.
So New Mexico alone has had a verdict of $375 million,
Yep.
but 40 state attorneys general have filed lawsuits against Meta. This is just one, and they're claiming in each one at different levels that Meta is contributing to the mental health crisis among young people by deliberately designing, as you indicated, Instagram and Facebook features that are addictive. So this is one of 40 lawsuits that we're going to be dealing with, and maybe Meta is going to come to the table and say, hey, we need to settle these or change our platform, or probably both.
So, yes, and it's interesting to me what the attorneys for these large social media companies, this one specifically, Meta, this is what they said. They said prosecutors failed to provide any examples of teenagers who chose to use Instagram because of a false understanding of its risks. So what he was saying is, look, these kids know, like we're telling them what's out there, and they are aware of the risk, but they continue to use Instagram because, quote, they enjoy Instagram.
Yeah, and social media companies have, since their inception, enjoyed, Holly, some level of immunity. The Congress has passed a legislation that protects them under really a First Amendment guideline and saying, look, they're just disseminating information. They're not creating content. Yeah. But once they get into their algorithm, they start learning more and more about how they're targeting people. Then they're not just reporting information. They're reporting information on a targeted basis, and it's causing harm to individuals.
I think one of the things that has happened over the lifetime of social media, which is really not that long, is we didn't really understand what it could become when it first came out, because it was a messaging platform at first, right? It was like a phone call. It was like the public square, I think. And then over time, it has become clear that it's marketing, that there are algorithms that specifically feed you specific content. We know that anger sells. We know that the algorithms will feed you more. If you do the angry emoji face on some of the content, they'll feed you more of that because it gets more of a response, right?
And these companies have to weigh, and they will, the risk of a lawsuit and paying $375 million versus the risk of losing their customers, and maybe that's just the cost of doing business. I mean, that's a tremendous cost, and being tied up in lawsuits every couple of years because you're hurting people is going to cause them to change what they're doing, I think, at some point.
Well, we're keeping an eye on the Los Angeles jury for what the verdict is in their landmark social media addiction trial. But until then, we're going to talk about some housing programs in the state of Utah. There's some shared equity programs that can help Utahns buy homes, and we're going to talk about some of the creative ways that people are finding to get into their house. Thanks for listening.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I bowl in 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Every day here in Utah, people turn to KSL News Radio for one simple reason: trust. Trust for our reporters, hosts, our coverage, and trust in the businesses heard right here. I've met so many of our listeners over the years, and they'll tell you KSL is part of their daily routine, in the car, at work, at home. And when they hear your business here, it carries the weight of that trust. It isn't just another ad. It's a recommendation coming from a reliable source. When you advertise on KSL News Radio, you reach a loyal, highly engaged audience who listens intentionally. They show up for breaking news, accurate information, and meaningful conversations. And because of that connection, they respond. And when you pair our on-air credibility with digital tools like display advertising, social media, streaming audio, search, geo-targeting, and retargeting, you get a full funnel strategy that works and reaches the right people at the right time. Get marketing that truly moves the needle. Partner with the voice Utah trusts. KSL. Learn more at kslnewsradio.com/advertise.
Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at the spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth over $150,000. Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. That's why I buy gold from Birch Gold Group. It's a crucial part of my balanced strategy. Gives me peace of mind given all the events that could impact the U.S. economy. See if holding gold in a tax-sheltered retirement account is right for you too. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Just text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Now that's peace of mind. Text Dan to 989898. Again, text my name, Dan, to the number 989898 today. Message and data rates apply.
All in together now, we can make it better. Can we do it? We're open up.
Because we know how to jump. Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Some stories are written in ink. Others are written in the heart. Experience the romance and the legend of Titanic, the exhibition, now open in Sandy. Stroll the promenade under a starry sky, stand before the grand staircase, and connect with true stories of love and heroism that have captivated the world for over a century. Discover a date night or a family outing unlike any other. Tickets are moving fast. Book yours at thetitanicexhibition.com. Titanic, the exhibition, at the shops at Southtown and Sandy.
Higher taxes, soaring inflation, record low interest rates, and the skyrocketing cost of healthcare. The list goes on. Retiring successfully today is a lot more complicated than ever before. Learn how you can tackle the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement today. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio. It's this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You taught me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, a new report was released by the nonpartisan nonprofit Utah Foundation entitled Appraising Utah's Homeownership Approaches, and it highlights what they're calling shared equity programs where buyers and investors share both ownership of a home and future appreciations, meaning you could invest in a home without being the homeowner to help, I guess, the buyer get into their home. And you'd buy a house, but you'd only be the half owner of it.
Yeah. So as a homeowner, I don't know how comfortable I would be with that. But if I didn't have a home and it was a way to get me into a home, look, 50% of something is better than 50% of nothing.
Right. And maybe if the person that's living in the house, you pay a little bit more of the mortgage than the investor. But with the way that house prices are going up right now, this does make some sense from the investor level, and it makes sense from the homeowner level. Sure, you're only buying half of a house, but you're in a house. You're gaining some equity. It may not be what you would want. Maybe you could buy the investor out at some point. I've never heard of this. I don't even understand how it works on a regulatory basis, but the state must be on board with it. But a shared equity program. Buyers and investors share ownership of a home and its future appreciation.
So I'm looking. This is a Deseret News article about this Utah Foundation report, and it points out that shared equity programs can take a variety of forms. You do have to be careful. Some offer homeowner loans against their equity, and that can cost you more than borrowing on a credit card, for example. But if you have what they call a fair share home appreciation mortgage, then the price of the home could be split with investors. And then when it's sold or refinanced, then you get the same percentage of the appreciated value, and the investors get it as well, right? So basically you're looking at getting into the home, and then when you sell that home, the equity that accrued, you get part of that, and your investor gets part of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're listening and you've been involved in anything like this, text us at 57500 and just tell us how it worked out, or if you even have some other creative ways that helped first-time home buyers or people who are just struggling to get a home with today's market into a home. And there's got to be some creative things that people are doing, because the government can only do so much, and they are doing some things. They are helping people, like with down payments, with sort of buying interest for the first year or two if people qualify for certain things. But getting a home in Utah in this day and age is next to impossible.
Especially for first-time home buyers, right? So one of the other options that Utah Foundation mentioned is what they call the Utah Dream Fund. Those are appreciation mortgages through a national lender called Homium and partnered with the United Way of Salt Lake. So that's another opportunity. My daughter heard of one, and I want to find out more about this, but she heard of one that is called Teacher Next Door that offers grants for teachers to be able to buy their first home, and that's the spot that she's in.
Yeah.
There's some, we've talked about options up in Ogden, I believe, where they were, as a city, offering incentives for people to be able to live and work in the same place. And so they had incentives for people to be able to buy and stay in Ogden. We talked last week, too, about home hacking, or buying a home with a plan to rent part of it. And we talked about like you buy a duplex and then you live in one side and you rent out the other side, right? That maybe that's a way to get into the market as well.
Yeah, the government helps in some ways. Programs help in some ways. Investors can help. I mean, the shared equity thing sounds a little like what Mom and Dad have done over the years with help a kid,
maybe.
And we'll pay part of the house, but we want our investment back at the end of the day. Maybe it seems like parents do that a lot with kids. So I don't know. I've never heard of it before, shared equity. But again, it makes sense for people that can't afford a house. And if you've got money and you want to invest in a house, sure. If you've got an owner-occupied person who's going to take care of it, they're not going to abuse it, and they're probably going to pay their share. So maybe it's a good from an investment perspective.
Well, on the same note, or a similar note, mortgage rates are continuing to climb. This is also in the Deseret News, but the average rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage reached 6.22% for the week that ended last Thursday. And they have climbed for the last 3 weeks in a row. There does seem to be uncertainty because of what's happening in the Middle East and some other things. But, you know, we've talked on this show a number of times with real estate expert Russell Fawcett, and he has indicated that because we had that really unusual blip of 2% and 3% interest during the pandemic time, people think that that's what it should get back down to, but the 6% is actually average.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily want to break away to it, but the jury apparently has found that Meta and YouTube are negligent. They found them liable for negligence in this other case that we're following. Now, this is not the New Mexico case.
This is the California
case. Where it was
case.
a regulatory case where the state came after them. This is this is a different case. Negligence, liable for negligence, Meta and YouTube. When that case started, Holly, there were other providers that were
Remember,
in the
they
case.
settled.
Yeah, a lot of
and
people
got out.
settled. So the fact that they have now been determined to be negligent, what that means is that the jury will probably go back and make a decision as to what the verdict will be. Let's go to News Nation for just a minute and get caught up on this.
And basically did it anyway. And that's pretty key to the verdict.
All right, so Rachel, you say there that you don't think the companies will take it in front of another jury. So you don't not think there will be an immediate appeal here?
Oh, I think there will be an appeal, absolutely. But for the thousands of cases that are lining up to show the same kind of liability, it is precedent setting here that this jury found that their technology in and of itself, the way it went about, was negligently done. It negligently caused harm, and that YouTube and Meta knew that. So that's a portion that we will not see another case to establish that kind of finding, that kind of negligence. Absolutely, Meta and YouTube will be appealing this verdict, but we don't know what their basis of appeal will be. It is difficult to appeal a jury verdict, particularly on these kinds of findings. But absolutely, because of the liability and the settlements and the cases that will follow this one, they want to get rid of this as quickly as they can.
All right, and so interesting here, also part of the jury's verdict, that the level of fault here, they're saying that it is Meta 70%, YouTube 30%. So interesting there. My question for you, I mean, what do you think the significance is of back-to-back court losses now for Meta, just in New Mexico, now in California? And do you think that we are now going to see more lawsuits?
I absolutely think we will see more lawsuits. The case in New Mexico was by the Attorney General, and the finding there was against Meta. It was very damning. It was on various types of unfair practices, including some of those that were addressed by this jury verdict. But the Attorney Generals of the various states will bring these types of prosecutions. And that's a very different kind of case because it's a statutory case, whereas these are negligence cases brought on behalf of individuals that were damaged. But again, it's all kind of wound up in the same type of acts. And the states are trying to compensate and punish the acts to their state citizens. So we saw the one in New Mexico yesterday. I think attorney generals will be lining up for similar prosecutions in other states. And I think what we're going to see more of is a lot more settling at this point. I think Meta and YouTube are losing a little bit of their fight here. And it's a novel issue, and it made sense perhaps to take it to two separate juries. But at this point, I think they will change their ways, change their practices, and end up settling a lot of the cases that are in line to follow these.
Okay, so, Rachel, you talked about how we all kind of feel that social media can be addicting in certain cases, can be harmful. We see with this jury.
And she did say that she expects a lot of these cases to settle. That may be true, but the award in this case, from what we're seeing, and it hasn't been confirmed, is $3 million. That doesn't seem like a significant problem.
That's one person, though.
Right. Okay.
This is a single individual who filed a suit.
Okay. Yeah. And if there are thousands of lawsuits, I guess that could add up. And YouTube is 30% at fault.
Which is interesting because YouTube is owned by Google.
Yeah, and Meta is 70% at fault, so they divide the $3 million by that, and each of those entities pay their their percentage.
Yeah, that's right. All right, look, we're going to talk about a new tool that police officers have. If you're running from police in a high-speed chase, Washington County can now stop your vehicle by casting a net and locking up your car. It's called the Grappler. We're going to talk about it when we come back.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Salt Lake City Council members gave plans to close roads around the Salt Lake Temple a green light for the open house next year. The vote was unanimous. The open house in 2027 is expected to draw millions of people to downtown Salt Lake City. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will pitch in $2.3 million to help pay for the road closures. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Supreme Court has tossed Sony Music's billion-dollar copyright lawsuit over pirated music.
The unanimous ruling stymies entertainment industry efforts to crack down on piracy, holding that an internet service provider can't be held liable for the illegal sharing of copyrighted material by its customers. The court throws out a $1.5 billion reward issued to Sony Music Entertainment in its lawsuit against Cox Communications. Writing for his colleagues, Justice Clarence Thomas said a provider can only be found liable for infringement when it intends for its customers to use its service to commit piracy.
That's ABC's Stephen Portnoy reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 365 points, the S&P is up 48 points. And coming up, record high temperatures. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because
Something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, andcollar.com.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes a new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated. So don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert, or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart. Just complete the purchase. Hurry! This deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Progressive's Accident Response can detect and send help when you need it most, after a major car accident. But other accidents, you're on your own. Like when you accidentally call your wife Mom. When you accidentally say Happy Holidays on someone's birthday. When you accidentally wave at someone you thought was waving at you. We can't help with those accidents, but Progressive's Accident Response provides peace of mind after major car accidents. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Limited availability in California. Driver is responsible for emergency and towing charges not covered by the policy.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free, no-pressure estimate or bring us their quote for an honest second opinion. Totally free. Whipple Service Champions, Utah's first place for second opinions since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Tito Nani.
We're seeing congestion up north in Weber County due to a traffic light being out. It's on Highway 89 between Harrison Boulevard and the I-84 interchange. Also seeing a closure in Tooele County on Mid-Valley Highway at Parachute Park Lane in Erda. Buy tickets now for ODT's Shut Up and Dance. BOGO sale ends April 1st. Romeo and Juliet and Chicago Nights, April 6th through 11th. Visit odysseydance.com for details. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 84 today with mostly sunny skies. Things cool down to the 60s tomorrow and Friday, but then it's back up to the upper 70s and 80s over the weekend. Right now it is 73 and sunny. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
You know, being involved with law enforcement as I have been, there are certain things that they get involved in, and trying to deal with those with modern technology has been a real chore. But if you're running from police in a high-speed chase in Washington County, you can now be stopped by the officers casting a net, locking up your vehicle. It sounds like kind of lassoing somebody with the old... round them up.
I know.
You get up behind a vehicle and put the rope around them, and it seems to work. And it's called the grappler.
I know, and that actually makes me think of Grimace from the old McDonald's ads, right? I don't know why, but anyway, it is called the grappler, and this is how it works.
A lot of patrol vehicles have push bumpers on them. People are used to seeing that. This technology actually puts a net or grapple system inside that push bumper. So while a pursuing deputy is following a fleeing vehicle, they can operate that system from inside their patrol truck at speed, deploy a net, which then is maneuvered to the back wheel of the vehicle, and then that net will wrap around that wheel, whether driver's side or passenger side of the fleeing vehicle. That will cause that wheel that was grappled to seize up as it's wrapped up in the net and stop allowing forward momentum from that wheel. It also tethers that fleeing vehicle to the patrol vehicle. So we could actually, if they still are able to have, example on front wheel drive vehicles, if we're able to grapple the rear wheel, they still have that traction on front wheels. And as they try and pull away, we are literally tethered to them, and we could stop their forward momentum.
So it is like lassoing the vehicle. It's a cool thing. It's a little device that comes out of the front of your car, and it I guess you slide it up under. You've got to be really close.
You've got to be close,
and you've got to be. I mean, the car's got to be holding still.
It's a little bit like a taser for a car.
Right, exactly. And you get up underneath there, and once it grabs that wheel, it runs up under the axle, and it's going to seize it up in about 2 seconds. But now you've got the police car 4 feet behind the vehicle, so hopefully they'll know to slow down as well once they feel that thing starting to trying to grab the wheel of the offending vehicle, and then you've got them. They can't get away from you.
Yeah.
Whether you've got front wheel drive or 4-wheel drive or anything. Once the wheel's locked up, that car's not going anywhere.
Sergeant Lucas Alfred with the Washington County Sheriff's Office says the grappler is more controlled, and I can totally see it's safer for officers and the public.
So spike strips have inherent dangers to it. One, we have to coordinate with a lot of officers, get somebody ahead of the pursuit, which can change before they get to where that person is setting up with spikes. Fleeing vehicles can reach outrageously high speeds. When they see spike strips, they will swerve to avoid them, sometimes towards officers, sometimes into oncoming traffic. That creates danger not only to the public, but to officers who are frequently hit by fleeing vehicles, because these people are clearly showing that they don't care about the safety of the public, let alone officers, and will actively try and injure or kill officers. We still use that technique, and any of these techniques I'm talking about where our deputies are still trained on, they're still viable options. This is just another option in our continuum. So pit maneuvers, clearly, as we push vehicles and cause them to spin, those vehicles can sometimes spin in unpredictable ways, although it's a very smooth technique depending on speed. One, they can slide off into areas we don't want them to. At very high speeds, officers have been seen causing vehicles to roll. It causes damage. It can cause damage to both officers' vehicles and the pursued vehicle. And it can also set up the officers who do that pit maneuver into a very compromising situation where we're trying to take in these fleeing felons, which we don't know if they have weapons or anything else. So it can put officers in an unsafe position to deal with the occupants of the vehicle after the stop. With this grappler system, we have a very predictable and known path that vehicle is going to take once it's grappled. They typically still flow slightly forward, and they can sometimes pull and spin slightly, but not in any major way. So the vehicles are still facing forward. Deputies or officers are very safe in their positioning in dealing with the suspects after the fact, and it keeps them in a more straight line.
That was Sergeant Lucas Alfred with the Washington County Sheriff's Office, and I've been involved with these a little bit. So you have those spikes that they put out. The vehicle has to hit it just right, and then hopefully it'll flatten the tires, and then the car at least goes slower. You have the pit maneuver where the police officer slams into the car and tries to get it to
spin,
lose control, and spin and come out. But you know what I think the most popular way that police are dealing with high-speed chases right now?
What?
let it go. I mean,
Really?
I hear a lot of agencies
Yeah.
who say it's not worth it. The public safety considerations are bad.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this so that the public will get some idea that they're going to let you go, because they don't always do that. But I see a lot of agencies, especially some of these more urban agencies where you've got a lot of public, a lot of traffic. It's not worth blowing red lights to chase a bad guy, and because all you're doing is catching someone when you put others at risk. And I think most agencies, well, not most, but a lot of agencies are really reevaluating what to do. This particular device, the grappler, does make a lot of sense. And Sergeant Alfred from the Washington County Sheriff's Office did explain another reason why it could be used for high-speed situations.
And that's another benefit to this as well. A lot of pit maneuvers, a lot of agencies, not all, but a lot of agencies will restrict the speed that you can do a pit maneuver, because at higher speeds it can cause vehicles to roll. So they say if it's going to be done at a higher speed over 45, 50 miles per hour, they want additional justification on why we're using this maneuver to stop the vehicle. Example, if it's deadly force is authorized because of this fleeing felon, he poses a danger to the public. Sure, you can go ahead and pit them at a higher speed than, say, 45 miles per hour. The grappler has been safely deployed at speeds in the 70s and sometimes higher without causing any damage to the vehicle. Well, it doesn't cause the vehicles to roll or collide or be a deadly or serious bodily injury situation.
It's certainly going to cause some damage to the vehicle, though.
You
Wrapping
think.
chain around your axle at 60 miles an hour is going to make so that vehicle's probably not going to run again very well.
Probably never. But one of my questions is, well, why didn't we think about this sooner?
Seriously.
The inventor of this made it about in 2016, so about 10 years ago, and it's been expanding across the nation. There's, I think, over 70 agencies across the nation that have it. So it's still not widespread. 70 sounds like a lot, but when you look at how many police agencies, sheriffs, highway patrol are across the nation, 70 isn't very many. The inventor started in Arizona, so it's seen fairly widely in Phoenix. Arizona Highway Patrol is using it fairly regularly. We are just the first agency in the state of Utah who have adopted this and are beginning to train on it.
And good for Washington County to be innovative like that. And I think that what we're going to do, I think a lot of agencies are probably sitting back going, okay, you go, Washington. Let's see how it works. Let's have a couple of these in play. Certainly, we have some experience from the state of Arizona where this system was enacted or adopted. And I don't know. I like it just looking at it. Of course, you see it on the demo on YouTube. It looks great. But in real operation, first of all, it's like roping a cow. They don't hold still. They don't just run in a straight line.
Wait for me to pull up behind you.
Although if you've ever been to rodeo, they seem to pull it off. And maybe the officers can just get up and slip up behind a vehicle and slip this there. It seems to me like a very, very safe way of dealing with a situation that is not safe at all. It does seem to be the best in terms of safety of the 3 or 4 methods that police are using right now to stop vehicles.
Sergeant Alfred also told us that they're not quite ready they're ready. They haven't used it on the roads yet, but they've got a dozen vehicles ready to go. All right. Well, we have already come to the end of our show. We only have one more segment, but I have to talk to you about 7 cute dogs in China.
Oh yes, I saw
who
that.
escaped. They were kidnapped and being taken to the meat market, which is terribly sad. But I want to talk about that, and you'll have closing arguments when we come back.
Can we talk about something difficult to discuss? Are you going through a difficult financial time? You have equity in your home, but nobody can help? American Home Loans has created the Bridge Loan Program to use your equity regardless of your credit at this time. The Bridge Loan can be used to pay debts, collections, IRS liens, divorce settlements, or home improvements. Call it 801-262-2221. That's 262-2221. This loan creates a bridge between now and a much brighter future. After COVID, one of their clients had over $85,000 in credit cards. Their scores were too low to borrow on their home. American Home Loans was able to save them $2,000 a month And after 8 months, they qualified for a conventional loan and lowered their payments. The consultation is free and confidential. Please call them and see what they can do for you. The number is 801-262-2221. It's 262-2221, or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com and MLS 245422, Equal Housing Lender.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
You may not think about Great Salt Lake, but it's affecting your life every day. It brings lake effect snow and epic powder days. It supports thousands of jobs that keep Utah thriving. It provides a haven for millions of birds. And it keeps our air cleaner and our summers cooler. It also could affect your home's value, your kids' asthma, your morning run, your powder days, your future. Without a healthy lake, we face toxic dust storms full of mercury and arsenic, along with higher health costs, fewer jobs, and lower home values. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's personal. The lake affects you. Now, it's your turn to affect the lake, because our lives depend on our lake. Act now at growgsl.org.
Jackson Hewitt has a great tax prep deal, $149 or less. Missing out is like ignoring the check engine light in your car. You'll regret it. Seriously, the price is only $149 or less, no matter how complicated, so don't wait. Like when you get a password expires today alert, or you're shopping online and there's only one item left. It's like your taxes are in the cart, just complete the purchase. Hurry! This deal for $149 or less is like your phone at 1%. It's about to power down. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Ahoy, matey! Is that a new phone?
Aye, Captain. That's my new Samsung Galaxy S25 FE.
You must have paid a pretty doubloon for that.
Nay, 'twas zero down from Cricket Wireless.
So, you plundered it.
Nay, again, 'tis a monthly payment plan with BreadPay.
You're shivering me timbers.
I shiver you not. Me first payment is next month.
Aye, that's not a plunder. That's a steal.
Get a new Samsung Galaxy S25 FE for $0 down when you pay over time with BreadPay. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Subject to approval of credit application. BreadPay loans are made by Comenity Capital Bank and Bread Financial Company.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Crossbeam Builders is a Salt Lake City-based custom home builder known for crafting high-end residences with exceptional attention to detail and quality. Through thoughtful design and expert craftsmanship, they bring each client's vision to life. Managing member Christopher Mousley joins us with more.
At Crossbeam Builders, we build custom homes and complex residential remodels here in Salt Lake, Summit, and Wasatch counties. Most construction issues don't start in the field. They start with unclear expectations, weak planning, and misaligned communications. That's where we focus. Crossbeam is a process-driven builder committed to elevated execution through disciplined pre-construction, transparent budgeting, and proactive communication. We believe integrity isn't a slogan, it's clarity around cost, scope, and decisions before construction begins. Our clients value professionalism, collaboration, and excellence. They want more than a finished home, they want confidence throughout the process. By anticipating challenges early and addressing them directly, we reduce surprises, protect investment, and deliver projects with precision and care. At Crossbeam Builders, we don't just build homes, we build clarity, trust, and long-term relationships through an elevated, well-led construction experience. Visit our website at crossbeambuilders.com.
Crossbeam Builders is making a real difference in Utah. Their focus on quality, communication, and strong community relationships helps families enjoy better homes and neighborhoods that truly last. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Inside Sources.
there's going to be a jailbreak. Did you see this, Holly? This is the greatest. These dogs on their way to the meat market apparently were able to break away, and they're running. This is in China.
I hope it's not AI.
Yeah,
I'd be so disappointed.
Right, but it looks pretty real to me. They were, because they're sort of fumbling around. They don't know quite what to do, but they did seem to make a clean break of it.
They did. And you know what's so fun to me is to see multiple social media accounts explaining more, right? So there are 7 dogs, I think 3 owners is what I read. And they were apparently on their way to be sold at the meat market, which is another story for another day. But they jumped out of a moving vehicle. So, again, I mean, it may stretch credulity just a little.
I don't know.
But
They chewed their way through the cage.
a cage. But the one in charge is the little corgi.
Yeah, leading the way, the 4-legged band of brothers. They made a 10-mile trek, and people were. I imagine they had a rooting army following them by the time they finished it. This was in South China. It just looks like so much fun. I mean, it would have been incredible to watch this. Of course, they are running down the highway, so they're at risk that way too.
Well, and they were able. So one of the dogs was injured when they jumped out of the truck. It was one of the bigger dogs. I think it was a German Shepherd. And so you see these dogs, like they're kind of in a circle, right? They're going down, but they're kind of in a circle protecting their buddy that got injured. It took them 2 days to make it that 10 miles, but they did it, by golly.
And hopefully authorities gave them a parole. What's the word?
Yes.
A reprieve.
I don't know.
Commute their sentence.
I mean, so their owners have them as pets, I think. So I think that's one
good.
of the things.
That's good.
All right. Look, we get to talk about fun facts of the day. Today is the 25th. So what does that make it?
No, don't do this
9
to
months
me.
to Christmas.
Do not do this to me.
I've got to now. It's
Yes.
like a running joke.
I know.
Okay. So today, March 25th, is Manatee Appreciation Day. So have you ever seen a manatee in real life?
Yes.
They're these big funny blobs.
Right. Yeah.
They have no natural predators.
Thank goodness, because they couldn't get away from anything.
Just humans. Yeah.
Right.
So it's Manatee Appreciation Day. Okay. So on this day, let me see.
We're talking about March 25th.
March 25th, 1634, the first colonists arrive at Maryland's West Shore and establish the first settlement of St. Mary's. In March 2021, archaeologists announced that they had found the ruins of St. Mary's. So for a while, it was the lost colony for a long, long time, actually.
St. Mary's.
Yep.
And
Maryland.
So that was in
1634.
Wow.
Yeah. Long, long time ago, right? Yeah, long time ago. So on this day in 1807, the British Parliament passed the Abolition of the Slave Trade Act, making the slave trade illegal in the British colonies. However, the trade continued in the Caribbean until 1811. But I have to tell you, one of my favorite movies, it's old now, it's 2007, it's called Amazing Grace, and it looks at the work of William Wilberforce, because he was one of the people responsible for getting that slave trade to end. And one of the ways he did it was, as somebody who's a political nerd, it was just so funny. He created, he had incentives for the people who opposed him to be gone. I can't remember what they were now. It's like a dinner or a golf game or something, right? And they were all out. And then they held this vote. And they're like, oh no. And they're looking up in the gallery and they see these abolitionists up there. They know something's up, but there were not enough people there to stop it. And so they were able to stop this slave trade.
So 1807, I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how does that equate to when the United States did it?
Well, we were 1860s because we were Civil War.
Okay,
yeah. So
right,
it was way
course,
before.
Right, yeah.
It was way before. And the way they did it was it had to do with what flags you could fly. And there was a little bit of subterfuge, but it was really interesting. And the reason they called it Amazing Grace is because it also, the captain of one of the slavers is the person who wrote Amazing Grace, and he realized that this was not a good thing. It was bad, and he paid penance. Basically, he became a custodian in a church, and he just wore sackcloth and ashes, basically. But William Wilberforce had a chance to talk to him and meet with him, and it was shortly before a trip I took to England, and I made it a point to go to Westminster Abbey to see William Wilberforce's grave because I thought he was a hero.
It's hard to even imagine the slave trade or owning a slave. Or I mean, it wasn't that long ago. 200 years ago, it was being done in this country.
Utah was a slave state. Did you know that? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Because of the Missouri Compromise, we were a slave territory.
And very, very large public figures, had slaves because at the time that's just what you did. You can't fault them too much. It just seems like, how could you even think that was a?
I can fault them, but
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's really awful. And so he was a hero to me, William Wilberforce. I do have one related to Utah. So this is 1862. George Sutherland was born. So George Sutherland was a Utah senator. He was a U.S. senator and the only Supreme Court justice to come from Utah, at least to date. And he was a strong proponent of women's political rights for his entire life. This is a quote from him. "To my mind, the right of women to vote is as obvious as my own right." Thank you, George. He, the Utah conservative think tank Sutherland Institute, is named for George Sutherland. I was
just going to ask you that.
Yep.
Is the Sutherland Institute in some way named
for him?
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Wonderful.
Yep. So this one, 1919, Woodrow Wilson wanted to have a League of Nations, and it became a reality after the League Covenant was adopted at the Paris Peace Conference. This is 1919, right after the end of World War I.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
It feels like not that long ago.
Right.
Yeah. So I also have one. This one is not a fun fact. This one is a tragic fact. In 1911, on March 25th, the Triangle Shirtwaist Company factory burned down. It killed 146 workers. Almost all of them were women. And I don't know if you have heard this story before, but they basically were locking their workers in to the building. And then when it caught fire, there was no way for them to get out. The doors were locked. There was no fire escapes.
Where was this?
This was New York City in 1911. The factory was often compared to a sweatshop because of its unsafe practices and unhealthy demands of its employees. But it also, this tragedy was the impetus for a lot of the worker safety laws that we have in the United States now.
You'd hope so.
Like you can't lock your workers in.
How many killed?
146, almost all women. Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the trauma they suffered? I mean, not being able to get out. There's a fire. There's nowhere you can go. Nothing you can do.
Awful. It's really awful. Yeah.
Well, is it my turn?
It is your turn.
So I wanted to follow up on something we talked about earlier, this grappler. I was down in Millard County not long ago on an officer-involved situation where there was a chase, and the bad guy was driving this Camaro, and the officers down there are driving Ford Explorers. I mean, it's no contest.
Right.
It really isn't. But the officers, as we often do in Utah, you can't just let the car go. So they're following, and they're doing what they can to try to stop the car, knowing that it's getting away. And they let the guy go. They had no choice. And all of a sudden, we're watching this dash cam video, and you see this puff of smoke, and you just know the worst. And the car drives up on it, and the car's off the road. The individual's flown from the car. You know, he's long gone. But it just made me appreciate. And so this grappler thing made me think. Maybe there is a safe way for officers to get somebody off the road, because as we've seen from other situations, when you have these high-speed chases and the bad guy's getting further and further away, pretty soon they start getting into residential areas. Pretty soon they get near a school zone. Pretty soon they get near where people are, and they become a threat to others. And officers, it's a tough situation. So when I see innovative products for law enforcement, ways to do something like that, it makes a lot of sense. So I hope that other agencies will follow what Washington County's doing, and I hope that situation